opportunity for government to engage adequately for mutually beneficial results. Also, COVID-19 is back at the top of our minds as the Omicron variant spreads. Ghana is moving into mandatory vaccination regime. We discuss how to prevent a repeat of high infections and deaths experienced in the first quarter of this year as we move into 2022. We're live on TV3 and 3FM 92.7. We're also live around the world at 3news.com. Also on our Facebook page, TV3 Ghana. So let me hear from you during the program. You can send your thoughts to our WhatsApp line, which you know very well. It's 055-369-8789. But if you're a social media addict like me, you can also tweet at us. You can tweet at TV3_Ghana, at 3FM 92.7. Feel free to tweet at me as well at Beho Bampo. You can also send us your messages on social media. Just use the hashtag the key points to join the conversation. Our guests are in. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
You want 15,000 Ghana cedis. Sapacho the birthday.
Me the better cement.
Yeah, me hon sika kesi no me no so prebe.
I start to me go ve. Me nenye to me go get 10,000.
Ah, good. But Sapacho the birthday.
Me be try me no.
But we any then or we be a
star 500 hash.
Let me say nyam papra. My winnie for 5,000.
Debia ye be mesika. It is our Airtel Tigo Sua. Making sure say what dial star 500 hash no activate to go miss no.
Airtel Tigo. Life is simple.
Every day he has a drink filled with malt. Every day he has a drink filled with malt and milk. Every day he has a drink filled with malt, milk, and cocoa. Every day he needs the nutritious goodness of Milo. Milo, the energy to go further. This advert is FDA approved.
It's the festive season and we love it. And that means it's time to celebrate with GoTV.
Great.
So get your GoCoder, GoTenna, and 1 month of GoTV Plus for only 89 CDs to watch with the whole family. And if you're feeling extra festive, upgrade to our best package yet, GoTV Super.
Amazing.
Download the My GoTV app for more information.
Super.
We all deserve a super festive season.
Then I hold back.
And with GoTV, there's every reason to love it.
This week on Mentor X, it's week 9 already. We're inching closer to discovering who will emerge winner of the incredible 10th season of TV3 Mentor. This Sunday, the remaining 9 contestants will be bringing you music of Ghanaian origin to entertain you and book their place in the next round. And of course, 2 contestants who fail to meet the grade will face the gruesome hands of elimination. Join us again this Sunday at 8 p.m. on TV3 as the journey to discovering the next global icon continues on Mentor X. TV3 Mentor takes you higher.
Mentor X is brought to you by Heaven Black Insecticide Spray and Mosquito Coil and Napa Foods, Sense Body Spray,
Club,
Better Malt, Tom Vita, Close Up, Geisha, Drugnet,
Cowbell, our milk.
It's about to get more sporty with a touch of super entertainment with your favorite stars.
Times we play the thing, get the Chaskele, the football.
Who should I take? Tony Cruz? Why?
While keeping you up to date with every trending issue in your world of sports on Warmer Plus.
But in comes Thomas Tuchel and everything changes. And when he said he want to be better than me, I was happy.
Let's keep it more sporty and super entertaining every Saturday on Warmer Plus, right here on TV3.
Movies, music, fashion, Our structures and entertainment in general are the things important to us. As an industry, we are inundated with happenings of the entertainment industry every single day. And so every week, we discuss the growth and question where we fall short. We call out whom is responsible and put them to check, leaving no stone unturned.
You don't need to break the budget, but you can do a really good job by doing different kinds of video, adding to the music.
Don't just look at it and assume they went to the beach and they shot it, or it was a green screen and this was what happened. No.
We should focus on what is new and how we're moving forward. People will be educated as in how the system works. If you are not played on radio, forget about royalties, number one.
We promote and applaud well-deserved ones on Simply Showbiz. Join us every Saturday with our experienced pundits on Simply Showbiz at 11 a.m. only on TV3.
Aisha Ado, she started off as a business accountant, but she's also a mentor.
In my second year of studying accounting, I realized actually this is not what I want to be doing. So around 17 was when I actually started Power to Girls. We started with like 6 girls, literally 6 girls. One thing that was a constant was that like we all had very similar things that we were experiencing,
like
from
what?
How we felt about ourselves.
What helped you to keep them going?
Aside from faith.
The power of the name,
yes.
God.
My name is Princess Dorcas Adegoke. I'm the CEO of Healthy Haven and I'm an immigration officer as well. I remember when we started, we were doing about less than 50 bottles in a week, but now we do about 1,000 bottles a day.
Creating a space that allows for people to talk is so vital. Freely.
Yes.
Today's Woman shows Sundays at 3 p.m. and repeat Wednesdays at 3 p.m. on TV3.
Your Honor, my friend is called Killer Mape. He said something some time ago. He said that this one is French.
Yes.
Eskimo, Libilabi, Labalaba, Tunum, Sweet, Hopri, Satuno, Kumbo.
French.
Yeah. It's very deep. Very, very deep.
French from which country exactly? This France, Belgium, Togo, Cote d'Ivoire.
Which? French.
From France?
France. Yeah.
And you said his name is
France,
what?
not the forward, the back France. You have to go inside before you can see the place.
Please repeat his name again.
Kylian Mbappe.
Kylian Mbappe.
Yeah.
Kylian Mbappe.
KJTIA versus Makola every Saturday 9 p.m. and repeats on Fridays at 2 p.m. on TV3.
All-White Party on the Lake. This Christmas, experience the 3FM All-White Party on the Lake. Yes, this time it's the Float Edition with great experience whilst we cruise on the Dottie Princess and party hard happening on Boxing Day, 26th December, amidst super exciting activities such as beach soccer, live band, pool party, swimming, jet ski, bonfire, and drink ups. It's an all-night fun party from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. Rate a cool 350 Ghana cedis for singles and 600 Ghana cedis for double. Man, that's so cool for so much fun. A little party never killed anyone. Join us in your all-white attire. Life is a party, dress like it. The all-white party is brought to you by 3FM, Volta Hotel, and Dottie World.
For reservation, please call 0546 063 747 or 0558 167 221. Sponsored by Johanni Auto Cooling Center.
All-white party on the lake.
For staying with us here on the key points. Now, on the eve of 7th January, there were chaotic scenes in Parliament, and that generated some concern and dismay about how Parliament had degenerated. Well, somehow that repeated itself this week after similar chaos after the minority's motion to overturn the budget failed, worsening the already deep divisions and disagreements over government's 2022 economic policy. It reminds of the mantra that those who fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And with this near-split parliament of equal numbers, is it the fault of the majority for failing to engage and negotiate thorny parts of the budget, such as the e-levy and the Momo tax? Will our MPs resolve this ultimately, or will this be our portion, the people of Ghana's portion, over the next 3 years? Our guest for this segment, the Honorable Habib Idrisu, who is the second Deputy Majority Whip and MP for Tolon. He's sitting right next to me. And we also have the Honorable Murtala Mohammed, who is the MP for Tamale Central. Gentlemen, thank you for coming in this morning to the key points. Lovely to have you.
Thank you.
All right. So I'll start with you, Honorable Habib. Many are not happy about how Parliament has been working this week, and the chaotic scenes have offended many. Your preliminary comments on what has happened this week?
Thank you, and good morning to your viewers and listeners. In actual fact, on behalf of the leadership of the majority, we are equally not happy and actually sorry to the Ghanaian public for the unforeseen circumstances that is actually happening in the House. We know for sure Parliament everywhere is about expression. The expression, your views in a way of talking, exchanging, conversation, debating. That is the essence of parliamentary work. But for the fact that it is getting a bit physical and a bit violent, that is the unfortunate part of the whole conversation. But we in the majority, we are actually working so hard to make sure that such things doesn't happen anymore. If it happened that way, it's marred the beauty of democracy and parliamentary business in Ghana, and it's rather unfortunate that this thing is happening. But we can assure the Ghanaian public that we are doing whatever we can to make sure that such things doesn't happen. So moving forward, things are going to be okay and normal, and for us to be able to coexist and do our parliamentary business, as in representing our people, as in having oversight responsibility, and us in making laws just to express our views, but not to get physical.
All right, now let's just take viewers back to those issues in Parliament. And this started at the beginning of the week, but what we're showing you was after the minority leader, Haruna Idrisu, put forward a motion for rescission, and this motion is meant to overturn the 2022 budget approval by the majority side. That was done without the minority, and the ultimate outcome. Let's see that.
When members argue that except otherwise provided in the Constitution, it is clear that it is provided for in Article 2912, where it is required that a decision be made by 2/3 of members. It doesn't mean that we should go to the quorum for. So, honorable members, let me put on record that I am a member of Parliament. I was counted to make the quorum, and I suspended in this house. But what are you doing? You don't rule. We have to take a decision. I did not vote. Tell me in the standard what is therefore the application. He cannot rule. He cannot rule on a what is before the house. No. How can he rule on a He cannot rule on the.
Well, that was the beginning of what led to some chaotic scenes and the yanking of the first Deputy Speaker's seat.
Decided to snatch the seat of the Speaker. I didn't snatch the seat of the Speaker. What did you do? Well, I was preserving the seat for Speaker.
to come.
Is it part of your parliamentary duties to preserve his seat?
Well, it's not my duty, but when a speaker rules that he's not a speaker, then the speaker will have to come and sit on the seat and take decision on that. You understand? So the fact of the matter is a motion was tabled. Yes, speaker might have said that he was not giving prior notice, but the motion was tabled and was seconded. Debates from both sides came on that on this motion. Now, per our rules, you need to put the question. You didn't put the question. He, the speaker, cannot unilaterally take decision on a motion. It is the House that must take decision on a motion.
But are you aware that going to touch the seat of the speaker, for want of a better word, is sacrilege?
Well, you are saying it. I didn't do that. Speaker was not on the seat when I touched it.
You touched it.
So many people touch the speaker's
Were you supposed to touch
the seat? So many people, yeah, I can touch it. Well, after touching speaker's seat, what happens? The clerks, everybody touches the speaker's seat. I mean, it's just a normal thing.
Your action attracted the marshals, and that is the concern. Why did you have to touch it?
The marshals were already there. The marshals were there before anybody could touch anything. The marshals surrounded the maze, they surrounded the seat. I mean, there was nothing like anybody carrying the speaker's seat outside the chamber. No, that was not the impression, or that should not be the impression created. We recognize him as one of us, Honorable Member Joe Osei-Wusu, MP for Bekwai.
Finally, you don't regret going to snatch the speaker's seat?
I will not answer to that. Thank you.
All right, so that was the Ashaiman MP, the Honorable Ernest Nogbe, there explaining why he yanked the speaker's seat away. But I guess the critical issue was the motion that was put forward by the minority failed, and so the budget remains for some in limbo because the majority says it's approved, the minority says otherwise. Let me bring in the Honorable Murtala Mohammed at this point. So there are two schools of thoughts: that the First Deputy Speaker, as presiding, had ruled on the minority's motion and it failed. That led to this rancorous outcome. But ultimately, why was the minority in such haste to oppose the Speaker presiding?
Well, first and foremost, let me say good morning to your cherished viewers. And of course, my professor and my lecturer, Professor Jampo, is elating and refreshing to share the same platform with him. Let me also say good morning to my leader and my kid brother. You know, he said that he's here with his senior brother. I said I'm also here with my leader. This is the first time I'm sharing a platform politically, you know, with him. Of course, we have been engaging in Parliament. And also good morning to the good people of Tamale Central. The reasons why I'm here. I'm here because they gave me the mandate to represent them. It is important for us to look at the genesis of this whole brouhaha. And I don't know, you describe it as a rancor, you know, between the NDC and the NPP. But I need to state that per our standing orders, we don't have majority and minority. My brother gleefully said that we the majority. There is nothing like majority and minority in this current Parliament, and the Speaker in his ruling, you know, in the matter of the rejection, properly done by Parliament on the 26th of November, stated that he wanted to be very clear that there isn't majority and minority.
You are talking about Speaker Bagbin?
Yes, Bagbin, yes. He stated that when
I recall Speaker Bagbin, not to interrupt you, but I recall, just for clarity, I recall Speaker Bagbin saying that in as much as the numbers are the same, there is an independent candidate that has chosen to do business with the NPP, and so they become the majority side.
He said the majority group. As a matter of fact, the independent...
Group or side, what's the difference?
No, as a matter of fact, the independent member is not a member of NPP in this Parliament. He only agrees to sit with them and in voting. So if you want to look at NPP representation in Parliament, they have 137, and NDC representation in Parliament 137. It's just that the independent member of Parliament agrees to sit and in voting with them. And I'm making this statement for a reason. It is the responsibility of every government, every year or the beginning of any fiscal year, to submit your financial statement for Parliament to approve. In fact, the financial statement is submitted to the people of this country. But the minister cannot gather all of us, 32 million people in this country, to tell us that this is the planned expenditure and the expected revenue of government going into the fiscal year. It is done through the representation of the 32 million, over 32 million people, in this case, the 275 members of Parliament. The Minister of Finance presents the policy statement for and on behalf of His Excellency, the President. So that is why the budget is described as the budget of the President, the one given the mandate by the people of this country to rule. Now, when a minister presents the policy statement, when the policy statement is approved, you then go into the estimates, or what is described as appropriation. Now, if you approve the policy statement and the estimates are not approved, or the appropriation bill is not passed by Parliament, the President cannot indeed do anything or spend any dime as even being approved in the policy statement. So let me make this very clear, particularly to our friends from MPP, that the approval or not of this budget is not the end of the game. What is critical is the approval of the estimates. The minister presented the policy statement. We then were given the opportunity per the standing orders to debate the policy statement. And mind you, before the policy statement is debated, a motion would have been moved and seconded. And in that, other members, backbenchers, middle benchers, you engage in the debate. The final day is the culmination of the closing debate of the leadership. So the minority leader, in this case, the NDC group, would have summed up the views of the entirety of the caucus and take a position as far as the policy statement is concerned. The MPP group, or if you like, for the purposes of this discussion, the majority leader will also conclude his debate and state the position of his caucus. Now, on Friday, 26th of November, 2021, after we engaged in almost more than a week debate, that day we came there to conclude on the debate. And in fact, some of us rose, supported the motion. In my contribution to the debate, I called for an absolute rejection of the policy statement. There were many other of my colleagues who called for the rejection of the policy statement. But the position of our leader, in this case, Honorable Haruna Iddrisu, is more important because it sums up the position of the entire caucus. On Friday, Honorable Haruna Iddrisu was given the opportunity to conclude the debate and state the position of the NDC caucus. And he gave reasons why the NDC group thinks that this budget be rejected. Now, the MPP group, the majority leader, Honorable Chairman Sabonsu, also indeed concluded his debate and gave reasons. Mind you, they are given more time. In the debate, ministers, ranking members, and chairs of committees were given about almost 20 minutes. And those who were not ranking and chairs were given about 10-15 minutes. And on this day, they were all given 40 minutes each. Honorable Haruna Iddrisu ended up spending about 43 minutes. And Honorable Chairman Sabonsu spent about 49 minutes, if my memory serves me right. After the debate is done, what is next is to move the motion, is to put the question for vote. Now, you know, there were a lot of issues. One, Honorable Haruna Iddrisu, you know, there were a lot of issues before the concluding debates. Now, the Speaker, as the ceremonial head of Parliament, whose responsibility it is to ensure that we conduct business in an atmosphere of civility and in accordance with rules and regulations. Sometimes they may bend the rules and regulations for the purposes of decency to prevail in the House. He then said, look, this leadership must sit so that we can find an amicable resolution to some of these issues. And the reason why it was important is that prior to the Friday, many members asked questions why the Minister of Finance was not in the House. In fact, if you check the history, anytime budget statements or policy statements are made, the ministers or at least their deputies will engage in the debate as even expected by the standing orders. And the reason why the minister or his deputies should participate in the debate is that as the debate goes on, people will raise issues. So you begin to identify with the science. You could still make amendments, you could still make some changes as the debate goes on, so that at the end of the day you wouldn't have the problem we have at hand. When we raise this issue, the NPP group opposed it. Now, when the speaker went into conclave with them, and it was agreed, and he is a leader, perhaps he'll be in a position to give us the accurate information. It was agreed that certain concessions were made. The understanding we had as a caucus was that the Minister of Finance was going to stand down those issues. One, the regressive e-levy, which is absolutely unacceptable. Two, the criminal Ajapa deal. Three, the misrepresentation in the matter of Eke in the budget, and they all agreed that Parliament was misrepresented, because that was not the directive of Parliament. The very wicked 15% adjustment in all government fees and charges, that is even more dangerous than the e-levy and the KETA, issue. All these things were agreed upon. Now, when they came in, per the standing orders, the moment the closing debates are made, the speaker would put the question. However, because of the leadership, including the speaker, had agreed that the Minister of Finance was going to pray. And the prayer here means he was going to give a good. The understanding and the conclusion in the meetings we had was...
So your entire submission is that what? You put all these things forward and the finance minister didn't take it into consideration?
No, when the finance minister was given the opportunity for the prayer, he was not standing down what was agreed upon. He was asking us to approve this budget pending any further engagement. What use will it make if I have a problem with a document and I'm raising those issues? Now you are telling me to approve it and then sit to engage me. And we said no. Tell us, you can come through with an extract that I am standing down ABCD for further engagement. We would have gone ahead to approve the budget, conscious of those things that were stood down. He didn't do that. So when that thing happened, then the speaker had to put the question as to whether we agree with further engagement with the minister after the approval of this budget or not. And we said no. So we voted against that. Now, when we voted, the question was put for voice vote. The speaker, in his estimation, felt that the no had it more than the yeah.
But there was no yeah.
No.
There was nobody in the house to say yeah, the majority.
No, they did for the motion on the prayer. Okay. So when they did that, the speaker then said, look, per my listening, the no had it more than the yeah. Now, per the standing orders, if the speaker rules in the matter of a vote and you disagree with the position of the speaker, you have two opportunities. You can call for division or head count. Division simply means all the necessary steps will be taken to ensure that the question is put again. And what are the necessary steps? Those who are not supposed to be in the chamber, for the purposes of the voice vote, the speaker will ensure that all of them leave the chamber, so that he will put the question again. If he puts the question and you still have an issue, then you call for head count. When the speaker said the no had it, Honorable Afenyo Markins, the deputy majority leader or the deputy leader of the MPP caucus, did not call for head count. He called for division. Now, if he called for division, per practice, the speaker needed to ensure that anybody who is in the chamber who doesn't have the right to vote leaves the chamber. Mind you, ministers can engage and participate in debate, but they do not participate in decision making on the floor of Parliament. Now, Mr. Speaker then said that the Minister of Finance, I think Minister of Transport and other ministers who were there should leave the chamber. Honorable Asaidun Ketia was seated at the public gallery. That public gallery is opened to every citizen in this country. The truck pusher at Agbogulushi can decide that today, I want to witness what is going on in Parliament. When he comes there, except that there are justifiable reasons for which he will be prevented from sitting there, he can go and sit there. Honorable Asaidun Ketia was not the only person sitting there. There were other MPP people who were sitting there. Now, when they asked that the minister should leave, and they were seated, The speaker then asked the marshals to get them out. For the purposes of your listening public, the house there, the ceremonial leader of parliament is not the president. Neither is it a minister. It's the speaker. This is an arm of government.
Okay,
and therefore,
your submission is taking quite long because I jumped us ahead because last week we dealt with all of
the reason why I'm raising, the reason why you need to give me just a little time to conclude on this is that I have heard a lot of stories. That house is the house of the legislature, not the executive. The speaker is the head, if you like, the ceremonial head of the house. And therefore, the standing orders of the house is the standing orders that must be respected by anybody. Okay, assuming without admitting.
So there was the disagreement about Honorable Asiedun Ketia.
No.
So the majority side were unhappy about
interestingly, they allowed a level 100 MP to commandeer them out. Someone who is still learning the rudiments.
There's nothing about
that. There is everything.
He's a member of parliament. He may be a backbencher, but
Jifa, when you rise to speak and your leader rises, you sit. We are all members of parliament. But among equal members of parliament, there are some. You have a level 100 MP.
Okay, so what has that got to do with all of this?
He commandeered them out.
They would have left if they wanted to.
Well, but we also, the guy didn't just, he spoke into the mic. But he left.
You have taken us too way back. Let's address what has happened this
week. It has everything to do with what has happened.
Because you are spending too much time. If you can quickly sum up so that
it has everything to do.
This segment is only 1.5 hours.
I agree, but it has everything. So you see, Jifa, it is important, even if I state that and I don't talk about this, I don't mind. Now, when they left, any decision we took there was legitimate, was legal, was acceptable. The motion was already put. The debating, the concluding debates were done. 274 members were present and signed per the votes and proceedings, by the way, which was approved by them on Tuesday. Now, the decision we took there, despite the fact that we had 137 members who were seated because they staged a walkout on the very division they called for, was absolutely legitimate. They then came on Tuesday to engage in an absolute illegality. Now, on Monday, he knows the leadership were supposed to meet. They agreed to meet around 2 o'clock. Our side included representation from our party. They also had people from their party. 2 o'clock, they were still at the Citadel for Corruption.
I beg your pardon.
The Citadel.
No, sir. Well, I can't allow you to use that.
I see the Flagstaff House.
No, sir.
Why?
No, you can't say that Flagstaff House.
Tell me what is wrong. Tell me what is wrong. Tell me what is wrong with that.
Because I don't have any proof that is what it is. It is the seat of government. Let's respect the seat of government as it is.
How disrespectful is this statement to the seat of government?
It is disrespectful to the extent that I don't have any proof.
You see the hypocrisy in this country.
No, this is not about it.
Hold on.
If it were a different government in office, I will not allow it either. So let's not.
You have the current minister.
I would like you to finish up.
Well, you have the current Minister of Finance who participated in Occupy the Flagstaff House, granted interviews. He described the Flagstaff House in all manner of ways. You see the hypocrisy in this country. But I will prove, but that's why
I will not allow it if it were the other side.
They were called to the Flagstaff House. Now, our team sat from 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock. They called them and said that if they could push the meeting to 8 o'clock. And our team said, no, we have been here around 2 o'clock. So they agreed to meet on Tuesday. On Tuesday, they were in caucus meeting. We're also in caucus meetings. Our team met them. And some concessions were actually made. The fraudulent Ajapa deal was dropped.
You keep using these terminologies.
It is fraudulent.
I cannot prove. Please, let's not use these terms because it is on our platform and I cannot prove that anything is fraudulent or not until I have the evidence of it. You can disagree with the Ajapa deal, but let's not use words that impugn criminality and the like that I have no proof of.
Which criminality has been impugned?
Thank you.
Which criminality has been impugned?
If you say fraudulent, it means you're impugning criminality, and fraud is a criminal issue.
Well, I think that you are the only person who is living in Kosovo.
No, this is not about living in...
Well, Ajapa deal, I don't know what...
Okay, so please, you just say Ajapa, you are opposed to a Ajapa deal, fine.
The 15%.
Yes, you are opposed to that as well, that's fine.
Now, then came the vexed issue of the e-levy. By the way, the e-levy has been described...
Okay, can you help me wrap up so that then we can delve into the individual issues that you are unhappy with?
Then came the vexed issue of e-levy. Now, when our team came, they came to meet the caucus. These are the things they agreed to step down. But on the issue of the e-levy, they said they can only come down to 1.5. And we said no. The reason why we are where we are have to do with some of the things they put in, particularly the e-levy, and for which reason, not just the NDC, very reputable institutions such as ISE and others have described them. Jifa, when we went for the post-budget hearing...
Let's not go into that. So just... We'll come to the specifics because...
Okay, so I shouldn't go into the specifics.
Yes, because the minority has issued a statement on e-levy and all that. It's a question I have to ask. But if you address all of that now, we will not finish. No, so I want you to talk up. You've made the point...
If you had told me, if you had indicated to me that just make preliminary comments, don't get into it.
It's not that.
Mine is to save your time.
No, but I thought you were going to summarize.
On the issue,
the point is...
So we never agreed.
Hold on. So you made concessions.
Yes.
But then when it was time to go back to the chamber, you all refused to go back and vote. The majority side went and voted to approve the budget.
When you prevent me from giving you the genesis why we refuse. No, hold on. Jifa, I'm not...
Okay, because I have to give time to Honorable...
Then tell me I can stop, then he comes in. Then later I can come in.
You wrap up, then I can... Because you've raised many issues he will now have to deal with.
Jifa, I don't have any problem pausing, then he can come in.
Okay, so...
Then I proceed, I don't have any problem.
It's because what you've said only ends as of Tuesday. And today, and there are other things that happened since then.
Everything that happened... or what we are discussing today, they have to do with what preceded Tuesday. So if I don't explain that, your viewers, I won't be doing them any good.
They've also been watching the proceedings. So
but not all of them watch the proceedings. And some of the issues we put out there, the people may not know. But if you want me to sum up,
so you summarize.
I'm saying that when that thing happened, we disagreed. We said we are not going to agree with any. However, our leadership said that based on the experts' position, and the aspect we brought to Ho for the post-budget review, they all think that the e-levy was regressive, and they gave suggestions that if government could put it around 0.5% to 1%, for example, they said that. Now our leadership said we are going to engage them again. Is it appropriate for us to look at the experts' advice in the matter of this? Now when they went there, discussions broke down because they disagreed. Now on Tuesday, we had two options. They had indicated they were going to do exactly what the first deputy speaker did. The only option left for us was to go there and fight. Because if they indicated that we are going to do what he did, now our party then said the people of this country are not interested in members of parliament fighting in the chamber, and therefore we should avoid going there. That was the reason. That was the reason why we didn't go. Now when we didn't go, true to all the expectations, they did exactly what they claimed they were going to do. Assuming we're in the chamber and the speaker did what he did, the only option left for us was going to engage in
But you could have said no, and then it would be on the record that you rejected it.
No, they would have still gone ahead. You see, it's the voice vote that is put. Once the voice vote is put, they indicated that they are not going to allow any headcounts. We knew on Tuesday, just the last one we went with, and for which reason people are now blaming us, members of parliament, something we avoided on Tuesday. When we went there, we knew most of their members were not there. And I can tell you, the Minister for Energy wasn't in the house.
So you so you were opposed to that, and that's why you all didn't go.
Yes, but we went the last one, that was on this.
And that is where you put your motion for rescission, and that had failed.
Good. Per the standing orders, once a motion is moved, seconded, debated upon, the Speaker has no option than to put the question. Now, if the Speaker disagreed with the motion moved by Honorable Haruna Idrisu, he wouldn't have even allowed him to move the motion. He would have said, look, I disagree with this motion because...
So he shouldn't have allowed the motion.
But
to the extent that he allowed the motion,
allowed it to be defended, allowed it to be debated upon by both sides. He had no option than to put the question. There's a reason why he refused to put the question. He knew that a lot of their members were not there. He knew. And he knew that we had our members, our 137 members were present. At least I can mention 2 members of the MPP who were not there.
Okay.
And those members were not.
So that is what led to the scene.
So he knew that if
so
we
that's
had
what
voted,
led to what we saw. Okay, I now have to come to Honorable Habib. You've made the point. I think you've spoken for effectively almost 20 minutes alone. So please, I have to allow Honorable Habib. But let me, we'll bring in Professor Gyampo, but because to the extent that things have been raised, I have to let Honorable Habib address them.
I think my senior colleague, Honorable Murtala, has struggled a lot to make a point.
Oh, really?
If you actually look at what actually was going on. On record, there's no motion pending in Parliament for the Speaker to take a determination by what was actually moved.
Okay, but this motion for rescission,
no,
why
there's no motion. There's no motion
really?
Before Parliament. I'm telling you,
but it was accepted. It was debated.
I'm telling you on authority that there is no motion before Parliament. You see, the minority leader rise under Order 51 to say that at the time purpose under Order 53, any member may, with the prior approval of Mr. Speaker, move a motion for a specific matter of urgent public importance. That is what Order 51 said. One, I was at conclave. I'm a leader. So before we come into the House, we go into conclave. We talk about what actually we have to discuss in Parliament. We agree with the speakership, whether it is the retired Speaker, Honorable Alban Barbin, the first Deputy Speaker or second Deputy, whosoever is going to preside. Then we know that this is what is going to happen in the House. You see, what happened on that day, people thinking that a motion was moved and seconded and debated, no, that was not the issue. When the minority leader rise to move that motion, after that, if you watch the video very carefully, the majority leader rise and drew the attention of the Speaker to the specific prior approval of Mr. Speaker of a motion, of which that was not granted. So when majority leader made that drew the Speaker attention to that, then Honorable Mahama Ayariga also rise. The Speaker, in his own wisdom, trying to let, you see.
Okay, but then why did the Speaker allow it to continue if he didn't pronounce specifically on it?
So that is what. Let me conclude.
I think you made
I was actually listening to him carefully so that he will be able to, the respect that I have for him. So he should be able to.
No, I think he's giving us the thorough history.
So the point is that on that day, when the motion for rescission was moved by Honorable Haruna Idris, majority leader
raised the attention of concern and asked the question about whether there was prior. But the Speaker presiding did not specifically answer. He allowed it to continue.
No, when it happened that way, then Mama Yarga, a member was up, another member was up, another member was up. In his own wisdom, in order to calm things down in the House, need to allow people to make comments. But if you look at what he ruled, he said that, if you observe him very well, that the argument that have been made by the motion move in Article 102, Article 104, Standing Order 109, that was debated in the House. It's nothing new to him. And he didn't get any prior approval, as in Order 51. So for that matter, he's not entertaining any such application.
So if the motion fails, is it because
there's no motion to be failed? The motion was not admitted by the Speaker. That's the bottom line. Fast track that. You see, my
so I've just been given. Hold on, I've just been given something. It says
votes and proceedings.
Motion. This the votes and proceedings 5. Motion that this Honorable House rescinds the decision it took on the budget statement and economic policy of the government for the year ending 31st December 2022 on Tuesday 30th November 2021, moved by Honorable Minority Leader Mr. Haruna Idrisu, seconded by the Honorable Member for Boku Central, Mr. Mahama Ayariga. So how do you explain this record?
This is not a record of Parliament. This is not the true record of Parliament. Let me explain to you and you understand. Let me explain to you and you understand. This
was printed as of.
Jifa, can I just offer education on this? Then you'll be able to admit
what
actually is going on. You say this is the vote and proceedings of Wednesday.
It's the minutes of what happened.
So what happened to this one is that every morning we have this printed about what happened the previous day. Then after prayers, this is what the speaker, if there's a formal communication, speaker bring. If there's none, this is what he goes on. He read everything in the vote of proceedings. If any correction, it is corrected. After it is corrected, it is adopted by the House. Then the speaker then banked and said that the vote and proceedings of Wednesday, 1st December 2021 had been approved and adopted by the House. This hasn't been done. It hasn't been done.
And today is Saturday.
Yes,
so
I'm
what
saying
were
that.
you
So
doing
what I'm
on
saying
Thursday?
is that on Thursday, what happened? If you look at the proceedings of Thursday, when the speaker came into the House, there was prayers, and after prayers, the speaker said that there are engagement that is going on, and for that matter, the House has been adjourned until Tuesday. This hasn't been debated. Mind you, when you are even debating, even somebody can look at it. His name, he was in the House. His name is not captured. He can tell them this is that. These people can draw attention to motions and other things. And mind you, on the Tuesday, the previous Tuesday, when the regrettable action the NDC had assumed to have taken to reject the budget, when they were majority leader wanted to make his submission, it was the same vote and proceedings. When they were talking about the vote and proceedings, he drew the speaker attention. That was the first deputy speaker that on the vote and proceedings, it has 137-0, and for that matter, that was not enough to take a decision.
Okay, so
he drew that before it was adopted.
Okay, so let me
if
ask
this
it.
thing is put, this is a regrettable mistake, to be honest with you. It's a mistake that the table efforts have, and like I said, it is not a record of parliament.
Okay, so let me ask
it hasn't been adopted.
Okay, so don't worry,
I'm asking you, Honorable Mutala, can you say
Mutala.
on authority that this document was approved by parliament?
Let me speak.
The vote and proceedings, did we adopt it?
Can I now speak?
No, but before I conclude.
No, you answer. So answer, is it yes or no?
No,
Then I'll come back.
did we?
No, can I speak?
No, can you say it, whether we have adopted this vote and proceedings? No, it was not.
It is absolutely a document of parliament.
But no. No, that's not the proceedings. Honorable Mutala.
So just know that
you need. You see, this is a normal practice in parliament. Your teacher is watching.
Okay, Honorable
and
Habib.
you need to understand the fact that vote and proceedings until it is adopted by the House. It's not the true record of parliament.
Okay, so
that's what you need to
Habib,
know.
I want to ask though, which is another issue that is boggling the mind of many of us. If the minority side voted on the budget and rejected it, you are the same 137 who approved it. You say yours is right, but theirs is wrong. How is that possible?
Okay.
Because the speaker, much as he has counted himself, he cannot vote. It's in the standing orders and it's clear. And that is what Honorable Muntaka Mubarak was raising.
Yes, so for the benefit of people who might not know what actually happened on that day.
No, the speaker, people were watching.
No, so you see, the speaker.
In fact, this week I think has been one of the weeks. People have followed proceedings.
Let's do the distinction here, Jifa.
No, so why is yours right and theirs wrong?
That's what I'm going to do. The distinction here is that the speaker was counted, but the speaker never voted on that.
Why should the speaker count himself?
So you see,
the Honorable Alban Bagbin did not count himself.
He's not a member of parliament.
Yes,
you see, the Constitution have made it.
It's true. He's not a member of parliament. The moment you become a speaker,
but if you interrupt very well, you might not be able.
Today I'm offending everybody.
You might not be able to get the benefit of the doubt.
No,
you see, the point is that the distinction is that the first deputy speaker first is a member of parliament, and the Constitution and the standing orders of our parliament says that the first deputy speaker and second deputy speaker must be members of parliament, but the speaker cannot be a member of parliament. If a speaker, even if a member of parliament is elected as a speaker, his seat becomes vacant and a by-election needed to be conducted there. The speaker, the first deputy speaker who was presiding, first of all, represent the people of Bekwai. If he was not a member of parliament, he can't even be a first deputy speaker. So if you look at Article 104 of the Constitution, of which we were basing on the argument, which states that at the time of taking a decision, you should have at least half of the members present and voting. He is a member of parliament. He was present. When he put the question, he never participated in the question. He put the question, and the question was, those who are in favor of that decision should say yeah. And we said it, and he never even participated. That's why I'm saying that he was counted. First of all, he's a member of parliament. So if the decision the 137 members of parliament took on that day will the right honorable speaker. He's a person, and as leadership, we are trying to protect the dignity and the sanctity of parliament. He is not a member of parliament. Alban Bagbin is not a member of parliament. And you see, if he ruled, it is rather unfortunate. And don't people think to assume that we walk out on that very day because of Asidin Ketia? No.
That was not the reason.
Okay.
I am
So
telling you as a leader from the majority.
Okay, so why did you walk out?
We walk out because when the speaker said that the finance minister should leave or he will invoke the marshals on him, that was where we were offended. Because the finance minister was in the house pursuant to Article 111 of the Constitution. And with your permission, I can read a bit of what Article 111 of the Constitution says. The Article 111 of the Constitution says that the vice president or a member or a minister or a deputy minister who is not a member of parliament shall be entitled to participate in the proceedings of parliament and shall be accorded the privileges of members of parliament except that he is not entitled to vote. And you see, which practice our good professor might be able to guide us in parliamentary proceedings.
No, he
that
won't guide us.
you see that a minister who has presented a document on behalf of the president, that's the budget statement, come and plead with the speaker that, okay, Mr. Speaker, I have a plea to make, and maybe my plea is to be able to engage both sides, because when he put the plea, that was what it was meant for. That the speaker would then say that the house to take a decision on the plea the minister make. Where even in Ghanaian parliamentary jurisprudence, when that ever happened? What? The minister have come to tell you that, Mr. Speaker, I brought this document.
Okay,
this is the document. Okay. I want to. This person have engaged. I've been hearing debate. I want to engage this person to be able to make a decision. Then you said that the house should make that determination. You understand? That is where the problem started from. Okay. And you see, and after the conclusion of the debate and the challenge that Honorable Afenyo Markins made, and that for us to go into division and our subsequent working out for the fact that the speaker did not treat us fairly, and that for the fact that the speaker did not listen to what actually we were.
So that's your point. Okay.
So, but don't ever think that this document is approved by Parliament. If I was in Parliament on Thursday,
let me hear from.
No, I thought
you come. Our just
allowed him.
Oh, don't worry.
No, but you have spoken. You have spoken for less that I haven't actually been able.
Please let me bring in Professor Jampo. Don't worry, you get your chance, Professor Jampo. So it's been
so many things.
It's been a tight.
I don't actually want to go in there. You said we don't have majority. We don't have that. In Parliament, we have only two sides, though, majority and minority.
Say so.
So that's the only side. I'm sorry, we have majority.
Okay, so let me ask Professor Jampo.
That's the only.
Okay, let me ask Professor. So Professor Jampo, the minority member, Honorable Murtala Mohammed, says there is no majority side, or is majority group and minority group.
He didn't
say group. His reaction was when I said that we those in the majority.
He says there is no majority. Anyway, Professor Jampo,
or it's not. It's we in the majority.
Okay, Professor Jampo, you've done a lot of work with all the political parties through IEA and up till now. Your thoughts on that first, and then we can move on to the issues in Parliament.
I think what we have now in Ghana is a hung parliament. I mean, it doesn't matter how we want to interpret it. It's 137 NDC MPP plus one independent candidate, and that of course makes it a hung parliament. And the Speaker of Parliament, in his own wisdom, gave a certain ruling that said that through on board a new political lexicon, majority group and minority group. I mean, it's just for operational purposes, and I think that's what we've been using since the inception of this particular Parliament. Jifa, it appears that because we are used to that kind of parliament that always has the executive arm of government dominating, we are still confused as to how to handle the current kind of parliament that we have. And so what I see simply is extremely partisan political theatrics and gymnastics that fails to appreciate what a hung parliament is and how a hung parliament or such a hung parliament can be handled in order to ensure that governance is not stalled. That is what they are doing. And I thought that some water has passed under the bridge, and so my honorable people here will tone down. But it appears that they're still doing what they were doing in Parliament, even here. And my fear is that if you don't take care, then we'll go the Malawian way. At one point in time, Malawi had a hung parliament, and for 4 years, Parliament never worked because they all had the strength and they all had the numbers. And so for 4 good years, Parliament just sat down doing nothing.
But is that the risk here? Isn't it probably the fault of the majority side for not engaging properly? Honorable Murtala says certain things but you want the group to approve the budget and come back and appeal for changes later.
I'm developing that point, that so we may either want to go the Malawian way or know that there is a government elected and given the mandate to rule, and that government must succeed or must rule. And so in that case, the responsibility lies more on the ruling government to ensure that it consults, it dialogues at all costs just for the purposes of getting the chance to be able to rule. Otherwise, if Parliament becomes the Malawian Parliament, then the government cannot also rule. And so, please, I am quite surprised. You see, hung Parliament has the features that have been exhibited by our Parliament. It is quite normal with any hung Parliament. But a hung Parliament is good. It helps Parliament to play its role as a countervailing authority to the powers of executives. There must, within every democracy, there must always be a certain power that will counter the exercise of power. And so if you go to Parliament and it is hung, you see, they try to assert themselves, and if you are not able to deal with them properly, then the executive will find itself, in trouble. Again, hung Parliament is good because it is able to force certain democratic ideals of tolerance, dialogue, and consensus building into our democracy. Without tolerance, dialogue, and consensus building, our democracy is not guaranteed. It's not safe. It may relapse. And then also, let us also appreciate the fact that at the moment in Ghana, we don't have any institutionalized dialogue platform that would safeguard our democracy. We used to have the IEA Ghana Political Parties Program that ensured that people sat down and spoke. I remember there was a certain by-election, Etiwa or Akutia, that there was violence. And these party leaders, I remember Alhaji Ramadan holding hands with McMenu and other, going around telling them that, look at us, we are not fighting. We have a platform that brings us together to dialogue. That platform has collapsed. Inter-party advisory committee of the Electoral Commission now is no longer a credible dialogue platform.
Because, and so because the NDC is not there.
Well, the NDC is not there, and then also that platform is packed with so many election machines. Parties who call themselves political parties but don't have the muscle or wherewithal to, influence any political decision or get into power. And so the only platform that, in my view, exists is a platform exists for dialogue and consensus building, is a platform given us by a hung Parliament. And so if the two sides cannot dialogue, genuine dialogue, sincere dialogue. I'm not talking about that thing they fool all of us. We are going into meeting. We are meeting that kind of meeting where they go and they have their intransigent position. I'm not talking about that. But you see, if you talk about successful dialogue in a democracy, you are talking about give and take. The majority group or the MPP must know that it hasn't got that power or that political muscle to be able to bulldoze its way through Parliament. It can only do so if it learns the rudiments of dialogue. The minority group must also know that by being overly intransigent, they are also not endearing themselves to the people of Ghana.
But is that fair? Because I think many have been relatively satisfied that the minority group has served as a certain check on the majority and even the government. And that's why in some instances where they felt the minority group could have done better, they were heavily criticized for not, being
well, I'm talking about, listen, I'm talking about what they are doing in
you think
this
they're
current...
frustrated? Do you think they're frustrated?
No, I'm just sounding a caution that they must know that you frustrate governance, and if governance becomes frustrated, it affects all of us. If at the end of the day, because of some of this rancor, acrimony, and tension, budgets do not go through, you and I will suffer one way or the other. But the majority must also know that they have a country to govern. The president has a mandate of the people to govern, and so the responsibility lies more on them to reach out. They have nothing much to lose. In fact, theirs is to be able to do some of these gymnastics and theatrics, just to be able to frustrate you, to expose you as being an incompetent person in terms of dialogue, so that they would feel that would enhance their political fortunes and order, even though I disagree that necessarily enhances political fortunes. But they don't have much to lose. But the government of the day has a lot to lose if its budget doesn't go through. But how would they be able to push their budget through? We need genuine dialogue, genuine tolerance, genuine consultations, and the kind of behind the scenes talking that is frank, honest, and candid. Not what they are doing here. Okay. I mean, it doesn't help the cause of democracy. It throws into the body politic that there is tension, and tomorrow, if the idea first is that we don't have dialogue and we are not talking, and there is a little conflict, then I tell you that our democracy may relapse, because there may be an implosion. And so they should set that kind of example that shows Ghanaians that even though it's a hung parliament, they are willing to work together just to be able to project the interest of Mother Ghana. Otherwise, look, Jifa, we are sitting on a time bomb. If this matter is not resolved amicably, if the majority would not be able to reach out genuinely, if the minority would also want to be overly intransigent, then we are sitting on a time bomb.
Yes, Honorable.
Jifa, I was scandalized. You allowed him to mislead your people. Habib. You allowed him.
Just make your point.
Honorable Habib,
make your point.
Okay, Honorable Habib.
And I'm your leader in parliament, so I'll call you with that respect.
Honorable Habib, the deputy.
Which aspect do you disagree with?
Honorable Habib, the deputy chief whip.
Good.
Yes. My advice to my brother is that he needs to take his time to learn the rudiments of parliament. He needs to read the standing orders. And I think the failure to do so led to the conclusions he came at. Why? He's saying that there wasn't any motion.
Yes.
He said that. That is an absolute untrue. As a matter of fact, when Honorable Haruna Iddrisu rose, Haruna Iddrisu said he was moving the motion. When Honorable Ayarga was going to second, he said, I am seconding this motion. The first deputy speaker allowed debate to take place.
But isn't it true that
I'm coming. Please.
No, I'm just saying that. Is it true that he didn't categorically say I've accepted this?
He doesn't need to say I have accepted or not accepted, and that is why I was insisting that you allow me to finish. If the speaker felt that it wasn't a motion he wanted to admit, whether he had prior information or not, he wouldn't have allowed Honorable Haruna Iddrisu to move the motion. But the fact that he allowed him to move the motion, and Honorable Ayarga seconded the motion was debated upon. Almost 6 people from the MPP side were called, and 6 from the NDC side to debate on it. He had no option. Yet you have a leader who thinks that I should call me a leader, sat here and peddled absolute falsehood. A motion was actually moved, seconded, debated upon. If you watch the video you played, when Honorable Muttaka rose, he was saying, why? The motion has been moved, seconded, and debated upon. You need to put the question. The reason why he refused to put the question because he knew they didn't have the numbers. I mean, what is more scandalous this morning is the fact that you have Deputy Chief Whip saying that work of Hansard of Parliament is not an official document.
No, he
or
says
a true
it's not been approved.
It doesn't need to. That is why I'm saying that he needs to take. Look, he's a Muslim. I know that he reads his Quran. Please let me finish. Jifa, can I finish?
Okay, let him finish.
Jifa,
yes, hold on. So,
you see,
so is it? Has it been approved?
Jifa, he's a level-handed member.
No. Let's not say that.
No, I will. He's a level-handed member of Parliament Even
but
though he's a leader. No, but you see, the fact that you are a leader doesn't take away you need to have
but
time.
I'm asking you a question. Has this been approved by the entire
I am
House?
saying that he made statement. Let me respond.
Has it been approved?
Can I finish?
You cannot answer this.
Can I finish? He said, if you want, and that's why I'm saying that you should read this. Go and read the standing orders.
Which order?
The Hansard is
which
the
order?
Can I
Which
finish?
order? Tell us the
please
standing
allow
order.
him.
No, which standing order?
Honorable Habib, allow him. Yes.
No, I forgive him because he's not reading it. You see, the Hansard captures proceedings in the House. You know why? If you speak into the mic, it is recorded. You can say anything as long as your mic is not on. That is not recorded. And the Hansard is the reflections of happenings on the floor. You took votes and proceedings as captured by Hansard of Parliament and stated in it palpably that a motion was moved and seconded. That is the true reflection of what happened on the floor. Now, if you go to Parliament, and then we have what we do normally, by the way, let me inform him, the Speaker doesn't read what is in it. The Speaker mentioned page by page. Page 1. If you have any issue with page 1, you raise. Page 2, if you have any issue with page 2. But let me just draw his attention and the attention of you. Oh, please.
Please.
Did that happen? Oh, please, I'm helping you.
Page 1, page 2,
you
after the last page.
Hold on. You said the Speaker reads. You said the Speaker reads.
Okay, no.
The reason why that didn't happen. You know why? You see, and he's not being truthful. We never sat on Thursday when we agreed that to resolve what happened the previous week. Then the leadership then agreed, including him, that okay, let's go to the chamber and adjourn. Let's go into the chamber and adjourn.
But that's what I
so
said.
when they went, hold on, please.
You
asked whether it was read. When you were speaking, I listened to you. The reason why this thing was not done is because the leadership all agreed we should go to Parliament chamber and adjourn to Tuesday because of the nagging issues and the fact that there are still engagements. So strictly speaking, there wasn't sitting on Tuesday.
Okay, so let me ask: if you go back for sitting on this coming,
they would have to. Yes.
Will you go through?
Yes. Let me give you
for the approval.
You see, the one with the action we took, and for which reason they claimed that the Friday action was illegal. When they came on Tuesday to engage in that illegality, they approved and adopted the very thing they described as illegal. When you go there, it is the true reflection of the House, and you have a leader who sits on national television because of political party experiences and says that Hansard's document is a problematic document.
No, he didn't say that.
Oh, he said it. He said this.
He just says that it's not being.
No, he said it's problematic. His words, and I challenge you to play it and shame me. He said this document is problematic. A leader. So I'm saying that my advice to my kid brother.
I didn't say it was problematic. I said this is not a true document by Parliament.
Sadly, he doesn't even remember the things he said.
That's what I said.
I am saying that play it and shame your him. He doesn't even remember what he said.
So the point is, this still has to be approved.
I'm saying that not approved. This is the official reflection of what happened. Whether it is approved. When I'm speaking, he comes in, you even stop him.
To understand the fact. I need to just let him understand.
So
when they went,
have I finished
you made your point.
Listen, we interject unnecessarily. You even stop him. When he was speaking, I allowed him.
Okay, so your final point.
So I am saying that everything that is captured officially becomes the official document, whether approved by his own estimation or not. It is the true reflection of what happened on that day. And you took that document to tell him when he said there wasn't a motion. You brought that document, I didn't bring it. And you flipped and showed him that there was a motion as captured in the votes and proceedings. That is the matter here. I am saying that he needs to take his time. Perhaps I would help with some votes and the standing orders if he doesn't have any.
No,
he needs to take his time to address
I guess the disagreement here is that for you, whether this document is approved by the plenary or not, it's a record of the House.
The reason why you brought this document because he made a categorical statement.
So I wanted clarity, but he says that it's not been fully approved.
The reason why you
That's why I'm asking you.
I'm asking you the reason why you brought this document. Because he made a categorical.
But he now explained.
He made a categorical statement that there wasn't a motion.
Yes.
Now I explained that there was a motion moved, seconded, debated upon by including their leader.
Yes.
So he then said,
Oh no, then you brought it in. It's been captured in your official document.
Yes, and he now says that the official document is not fully approved.
He's questioning the
It's like minutes. When you go to a meeting, you go through the minutes, those that are struck out. Isn't that what is normally done?
He's questioning the integrity of the Hansard department, the leader.
Okay, I will not finish on this one, so let me move on quickly and take a break. Let me take a quick break and then we'll come back. We're still discussing this. We need to take this break. So let me just take this break quickly and then we'll come back. It's still the key points on 3FM and TV3.
Oh, really? So how are you going to make all of that happen? Come and I'll show you.
Step into success. Enter the Republic Bank digital space where you have the choice to get more out of life. Download the app Republic Mobile. No longer count numbers. Set a proxy. Use that to make payments. Simple. Bank anywhere at any time. Use Republic Online to check your investment balance and link your existing accounts. It's that easy. Bank on the go. Get the one account online and enjoy competitive interest rates. Relax with our digital banking suite. Republic USSD *414#, Republic Online and Republic Mobile. Download the app. Republic Bank, we're the one for you.
Every day he has a drink filled with malt. Every day he has a drink filled with malt and milk. Every day he has a drink filled with malt, milk, and cocoa. Every day he needs the nutritious goodness of Milo. Milo, the energy to go further. This advert is FDA approved.
Sometimes you just know that something ain't going good. You say to yourself, this ain't working for me. There be no shame in that, man.
Like when you don't got it?
Yeah, man, I mean, being smart means knowing when to stop. Know your limit.
So like knowing when to stop? Yeah, makes sense.
If it's not fun, choose to stop.
This advertisement is brought to you by Bet Power.
This is Krokwedu and his family. They have just won 10,000 Ghana cedis. You too can win up to 100,000 Ghana cedis. Simply recharge, call more, browse more, use Airtel Tigo Money More, and play the SMS trivia to earn points and win big in the Airtel Tigo Togo Miso promo. So why wait? Dial *500# now.
Airtel Tigo no, my
Imagine waking up at the break of dawn with nature's tide against you. Imagine your entire life being swept away by waves of the sea. Imagine your life wasting away, powerless at the strength of the storm. Imagine your shelter is devoured by nature's unrelenting force. Just imagine. Now this is the reality of the children, mothers and fathers of the people of Keta and its environs. Victims of the destructive tidal waves. Nature's wrath can be deadly, but humanity sustains life. Together, let's help weather the raging storm. Help save a life.
Connect FM Bronya Chaza Yezroma second deep 1 week in the Yazis was a display was for one and some but no Sabrabo Yoma Sansa Tossing. I film with 10 now. Our profana was a pay. Also trade and exhibition, a vital unit for business growth. You would dear executive was why the party there today? Oh, your second youth center, Kundum Square, and now Confasson Quadwa. Oshasa Sunday, 19 December, Zekasa Sunday, 26 December. Oh, your second Bronya, Rebeshia Padisa, the Dolphina for Fufuninara, Mayanya Sentence Kakra, a Pedemo Bribu with the Ruasa, Franya 0 0244 244 027 and 0545 572 856. Connect FM Sekuna Bronya. Yanara Yaniso. Na fear. No, yes, Samara Mamma Porta so. Or yes, Samara Papa to Jota. So what? On the year, Manchi. Connect FM. Yeah, one.
Okay.
You counted your number, you are not up.
Thanks very much for staying with us here on The Key Point. Some of your messages have come through to me on Twitter. I'll read some of them. This one from Kokus. He says, the Standing Order 1093 is more than very clear on the matter of a deputy speaker or any other person presiding in the House. The MPP majority lost it, and he circles it for me. He says, the deputy speaker or any other member presiding shall not retain his original vote whilst presiding.
He was counted.
Baba Chairman from Tamale writes, until the NDC also take their followers serious and tell them the truth, no matter how bitter it is, we shall continue to experience some of these in our parliament. Abdul Salam Hussein writes, Madam, the NDC side of this parliament are also taking us for granted. When they kicked ballot boxes during the election of the speaker, we were told that they were defending our constitution. Another MP just pulled the seat of the speaker. He said he's protecting the seat. Well, Honorable Mutara tells me that the seat is not as important as the mace that the speaker would hold. Abdul Salam Hussein writes, why is the 8th Parliament behaving like this? Are they above the laws of the country? And those were some of your messages that have come through. Thank you very much. Let me allow Professor Jampo to come in, and then I'll come to you. Yes, Prof.
Well, I think our time is almost up, but then I want to still make the point that, you see, either side can find all the faults and exploit the lacuna in the rules to its advantage. NDC can do that. MPP can do that. But at the end of the day, they should note that if you do that, then you can't move forward, and Parliament would essentially grind to a halt. And who suffers the most if Parliament grinds to a halt and government business stalls? Is the majority side. And that is why I'm saying that if the NDC would want to interpret the rules from their own perspective, the majority side shouldn't do same. Even if you want to do same, at the end of the day, you have to find all means. You see,
let's talk a bit about
I have not been interested.
No, but let's talk about the specific complaints about the e-levy, complaints about the increase in charges for public sector services, the Momo tax. Those are the things the minority side is against. And truth be told, if the generality of Ghanaians also have raised complaints about it, it behoves the finance minister and the government team to take a look at this once again, redraw the old document, present a new one that reflects the concerns of the people.
Yeah, but today I didn't want to go into details. All I wanted to talk about was the need for them to build consensus.
But this is the reason.
I know, but then we can go a bit into the specifics. I mean, if you want to talk about the e-levy and then other 15% charges that may have been imposed and all that, of course, you cannot say that the finance minister or the government didn't think through before imposing such levies. But at the same time, these levies are going. I've argued against it that, you see, we are people who refer to ourselves as loyal taxpayers. We are those people who, when we go and collect our pay slips, we don't look at the tax deducting component, because if you look at that, please, you go crazy. We don't look at that. And so if you want to come out with any taxation, then you should be, and you want to be innovative in bringing, widening the tax net, then you should be innovative in such a way that those of us who have held governance or governments and paid for Article 71 office holders, paid all their bills, you would cushion us a little, but you wouldn't impose extra bet. I mean, we've been talking about some of these things. I've said my view, giving my view about this. I know credible voices within the body politic have also given their views. Issa spoke about it. I mean, Peter Korte said that it is punitive. I know my own colleague Bob Watin said if you want to increase it, then bring that bill, then that levy, it should be around 0.5% and all that. But it appears that, you see, all these views are credible voices, but once the NDC as the opposition articulates it, it becomes a bit offensive or repulsive to the ruling party. And so once it's coming from the opposition, you see, we are used to the majority always having its way. And so if it is coming from the opposition, then it becomes difficult for them to accept. But the point is, to the extent that this is creating rancor, to the extent that this is becoming embarrassing, to the extent that Parliament now is behaving like a jungle, even in the jungle where common sense is not common, order is maintained. So if members of Parliament would want to behave this way simply because we are in a hung Parliament, then at the end of the day, like I keep saying, you see, I pity the ruling government. Okay, I pity the majority side, because it appears that they are not appreciating the fact that if they don't do something now, they would have more to lose than the minority group. And so my brother Habib, it is important that you accept this, that look, at the end of the day, you must govern. At the end of the day, a mandate has been given to you to govern. And so don't be so much distracted by the one who is throwing stones at you, and so you lose your focus, you lose your cool, and you want to address it. At the end of the day, you would not be able to govern. And so reach out to them. Otherwise, then let us all agree that let Parliament grind to a halt, and let's see what will happen. If Parliament grinds to a halt and your budget doesn't go through, we will suffer, but governance will suffer. The budget, okay. And so the point is, no, please don't be saying these things. I expect you to be sober, okay, in reflecting on some of these things, and then reach out. The bit about the budget has been rejected. The bit about the budget has been approved. Are all part of the political theatrics that comes from you people, the hawks within the party. But the point is that at this juncture, and then within a hung Parliament, the hawks in political parties have no role. You are supposed to be backbenchers. You need more level-headed people, more experienced people, more tolerant people to be able to dialogue, not the hawks. Otherwise, at the end of the day, the country we would have problems. And when we have problems, some of you already have your visas and your passport, you run away and leave us. We don't like that. And so I'm talking to you, I expect you to listen. Okay, you have to be sober. Okay, let me be sober too. Okay, let me bring in Honorable Habib. I'll come to you, Honorable Murtala. I'll come to you. Yes. No, it's because on this issue he raises, I just want to hear what is the government or the majority side's plan in terms of the e-levy, the Momo tax, the 15% charges, the Ejapa deal, the ECA deal. All these things are sore points for the minority side. What's the plan to address these?
Yes, as you know, Parliament, we are engaging.
You and who?
We and our colleagues in the minority. I'm a member.
Not that kind of
Is it the 20-member committee?
Prof, with all due respect, you don't know the terms and reference and the caliber of people who are in this committee and what we discuss. So you cannot say that we are not. I'm a member of that committee.
Okay, so it's the 20-member committee.
Respect, I'm a member of.
Is that the 20-member committee?
Okay. We are.
It's a 20-member bipartisan
committee that we are actually engaging in dialogue.
Let me clarify before you go on. With respect to you, you see, we've heard that you are engaging. We've heard that you are meeting with the minority. We've heard that because of such engagement, sittings delayed and all that. And we didn't see the aftermath of that engagement didn't typify a group that had engaged. That's the reason why I was saying that I hope it is not that kind of engagement. Prof, I've seen it before. That's why I agree with that.
Don't expect a one-day wonder that we are just going to go into dialogue on some of these issues and we'll come out one day. Just immediately we'll go in, we are agreeing and we are coming out. It's a lot of issues
that is entailed, and we are trying our best. That is why you could see that on Thursday we had the shortest sitting ever, because this was agreement that was agreed by this committee. Okay, Parliament cannot sit, but we don't also want to say that we are going in there to fight. So for that matter, let's agree. We are going in there after prayers, then we are adjoining.
I understand it was only a 4-minute sitting.
Good. So that was the agreement from this. So that was the agreement on this committee. And the 5 things that you have mentioned, with this same bipartisan engagement, about 4 of them have been honored. 4
so you
have been honored. The only thing that is, yes, we have agreed on 4. The only thing that is still outstanding is the e-levy. Yes, the minister have agreed that some funding is going to be put to the Keta Sea Defense. You know, we for purposes of us, you know, coexisting and building concessions. Yes, I could say that I am not in support of it. Yes, Keta is just a constituency. Don't I have serious problems in my constituency in Tolong that I can also think that the budget should also capture things in Tolong? No, I'm coming. I want him to understand. I want him to understand the consensus builder.
No, the point I'm trying to make is that
Jifar, let me make a point. But government has agreed. I'm talking about the 5 points.
But I want to remind you
have agreed
that a major disaster, force majeure, had happened in this constituency.
So that part
it's not just about Keta, but if you say it like there are also important things in my constituency, it doesn't sound good.
No, but what I'm trying to say is that Jifar, what I'm trying to say is that as much as many things, we are all representing our constituencies. As much
but your constituency, there is no disaster now.
Jifar, let me make a point. I'm trying to make it an example to let you understand the fact that even though that is the case, 4 of the issues have been actually understood.
Okay,
you
so
see, and if you look at
you've agreed on Keta
and Aka, GMPC Aka Energy. It is the language that they had a problem with, as if there was a resolution. Ejapa is still in the banner. It is not something that has happened. So we have agreed on Ejapa. The problem that we have now, yes, everything is, and then there was other thing that has to do with other budgetary issues and everything. The bipartisan committee, we have agreed on that. The only thing that is still outstanding, it is the e-levy. I think, I don't know, your itemizing e-levy and that of Momo tax is the same thing.
E-levy Momo tax is still pending.
It is part that the NDC decide to call it Momo tax, even though it is called e-levy, but they call it Momo tax because it is not only Momo.
I think the e-levy is for those of us.
If they want to call it Momo tax, if they want to call the e-levy a Momo tax, I can say here that NDC started Momo tax. Because NDC brought the Financial Transaction Act, and Momo is a financial transaction in 2015-16. So if e-levy is not a transaction that has to only affect only Momo.
I get you.
So that's what I'm trying. So we need to get that straight and understand that when in 2015-16, when the budget was presented and our 17.5% was put on fine. Yes, definitely.
Okay, but you said that. So you said that e-levy is still pending.
Yes, we are still discussing.
What about the 15% increase on services in the public?
You see,
services?
the finance minister had come to the house. That was on Tuesday before the approval, and said that there are some concessions that he will make. Yes, we do agree with our colleagues that, okay, let this concession be known to us. Table these concessions, then we'll know that this concession is tabled. This is that, while it guides us through the process of examining the estimate.
So when will the negotiations conclude?
The negotiations, I think we are due to meet again on Monday. We are meeting Monday in the morning, and for us to see the way forward and what will happen on Tuesday, because the house was adjourned until Tuesday. It is the Momo levy that we all have to look at. But you see, certain times, Prof is here and we can be guided. The whole world is hit by a pandemic called COVID that has affected world performance, even developed economies. Now, government need to be able to raise revenue. If you look at debt to GDP and you look at revenue to GDP, 30.2 million Ghanaians are there. Less than 10 million Ghanaians pay taxes in terms of the tax that we pay. Government need to raise revenue. You are saying that government should not borrow, irrespective, or government is thinking.
It's not that anyone said government should not borrow. It is the New Patriotic Party that told us during campaign that oh, there's money and there will be no need to borrow as much as the previous administration. People are only holding the government to their words.
That is why my preamble, I said that unexpected COVID have hit us. When MPP was coming into power on the 7th of January, when President was sworn in 2017, there was nothing like COVID. And if you see the performance from a performing economy about 3.6, and before COVID came, it was around 7.5 in terms of the economic outlook. But you come and look at, after COVID have hit us, what actually we have been able to endure, the impact it has had on world economy. Even the US, they had to pump about $3 trillion into the economy. About 20 million job loss in the US economy. These are like big economies that we are talking about, not to talk about our economy. So what government is simply trying to do is to be able to raise revenue and be able to tax. Prof and I, like he said, I do agree, like when we are paid automatically, we are deducted. But we are less than 10 million out of 30 million Ghanaians. If you look at the statistics, it will scare you. If I may you see, we have only 2.4 million persons who are registered as personal income taxpayers as of August 2021. 45,109 entities are entitled to corporate taxpayers, and we have 136,000 registered businesses at the Register General who pay taxes. You see, our revenue to GDP, 13.5%. Then you ask yourself, how will government be able to execute its projects? So taxing, we are not the only people who bring tax. Like you say, Momo tax is going to bring VAT. VAT 17.5. Okay, when NDC brought it, there was a demonstration. There was a demonstration. I'm coming. You see, the argument they always make is that the Momo tax, as it is being called, even though it is called an e-levy, it is going to affect the ordinary person, and if possible, affect
your capital. Okay,
I don't see how that is different from
but proposals are being made that the threshold for the Momo should be more than
we are talking. To be honest with you, and we are making progress.
Anyway, so I think
we are talking and we are making a lot of progress.
Okay, so he says they are talking. Honorable Murtala, are the teams talking?
Just as I was calm listening to him, I want him to listen to me.
Okay, but the 20-member bipartisan committee, do you know if they are making any progress?
Yes. No, engagement is completely collapsed.
Really?
So, yes.
The 20-member committee?
You are not a member, Honorable Murtala, respectfully. You are not a member.
Okay, so just a...
So what do you mean by it collapsed? Last meeting I was there.
He says they are meeting on Monday.
If I just admonish you.
No, so go ahead.
Hold
but
on.
he says they are
I take serious exceptions to this.
No, I beg your
pardon. I listened to him.
No,
okay, go ahead.
So tell me.
I am a member of
it is your responsibility.
Okay, but he said that they are meeting on Monday.
Why I'm talking when you're talking
it has collapsed or something. It's going to
Could you tell him to listen to me?
Okay, but the point is, he says the team is meeting on Monday. If they are meeting on Monday,
if you are giving me the opportunity to respond, it is not you or he.
I get
it. So allow me to make my point.
Yes, but just for clarity, he says the team is meeting on Monday. If you say it's collapsed, how can they meet on Monday?
I am saying that so-called team for engagement is collapsed. You just need to read the statement the NDC caucus issued. What Honorable Muttaka said. So why are you here talking about an engagement again?
Okay, go ahead.
So it's collapsed.
Okay.
No. You see?
It was an NDC.
Honorable Habib, please allow him.
Okay.
Yes.
You see?
Honorable, go ahead. Honorable Murtala, please go ahead.
One of the reasons why I was advising my kid brother to take his time to learn the rudiments
Honorable,
of...
just make your
allow
point.
me to make my point, Jifa. To learn the rudiments of the parliamentary proceeding was the statement he made when he said that he personally is against the funding for the Kita Sea defense because he has problems in Tola.
But I've called him out on that.
It was an example we said.
My interest is not
I was just telling you
allow me to make my point. Why? Are you now telling me that take what you said?
No.
So I am particularly scandalized that you have a leader of the House who makes such statements. I love Tola, and he knows. I'm a royal of Tola. He knows that. But the point I'm making is that such statements ought not be coming from you. Government is not doing the people of Kita any favor. It is the responsibility of government to intervene when a section of the Ghanaian populace are facing what the people of Kita are facing. So don't create the impression as if government is doing them any favor. In any case, the Minister for Works and Housing, when this problem came up, promised the people of this country that they were going to take care of the Kita Sea defense problem in the budget. You submitted a budget and Keta is not even mentioned in the budget. So that occasioned the demand people started making. In any case, we went into negotiation with you. Those issues we raised were issues that bordered on many concerns of the people of this country. The NDC is the representation of the people of Ghana, just like the MPP. And Prof, with all due respect, the NDC is not doing this to advance our political interests. We are doing this because what we are doing is the reflection of our constituents. As a matter of fact, the last time I checked, ISA is not an NDC wing. Prof, the last time I checked, you are not an NDC person. You have expressed your opinion on this. All the aspects who were brought for the purposes of the post-budget, workshop, including Dr. Ali Nachan, who is an expert in tax or tax law, they all condemned the e-levy. And in fact, they all gave suggestions what they think under the prevailing economic circumstances, the hole that you dug as a result of your recklessness in spending, for which reason the people of this country are suffering. They say, look, we may agree. Go if you listen to ISA, they say that, look, it is regressive. Every tax has the instruments of taxation. Regressive tax regime is something that affects the poor. So when you impose such a tax regime, people are concerned. So let's get it. It's not an NDC issue. It's an issue of the generality of the people of this country. Dr. Kwame Mpienu is one of the founding fathers of NPP. He condemned the e-levy, the Bawumia tax, in a term that I may not repeat on this program. He is not an NDC person. He is one of the founding fathers of the NPP. Condemned it in no uncertain terms. Every single aspect I heard indeed condemned this. So the point, the issue is not just about whether NDC agrees or disagrees. Another very important point that we need to look at. Now he is telling us the reason why government has to do this is because government needs to mobilize revenue. Why haven't you told the people of this country why per the Auditor General's report 12 billion Ghana cedis was misappropriated? Now, if you are telling us that I'm imposing such a regressive tax regime on you because of my inability to generate revenue, how about the revenue you generated, which you recklessly expended? Where is that 12 billion? Now, he sits here without any shame, telling us that because we are 32 million people and only a number of million people pay taxes, whose responsibility is it to ensure that the loopholes of the leakages with regards to the taxes we take are closed? Whose responsibility? Is it not the responsibility of the government? So you have failed to discharge your responsibility. You now blaming the people of this country for your incompetence. Jifa, the least we would expect these people to tell the people of this country is to justify these taxes on COVID. Ghana was not the only country hit with COVID. COVID was a global pandemic, and it's still a global pandemic. The assessment of the effects of COVID to country has to do, to a very large extent, the casualties, the number of people, unfortunately, who lost their lives, isn't it? As to the impact it has on the economy, several issues came and affected the economy than COVID. Now, Burkina, Nigeria, Ivory Coast, Togo, Benin, they were more hit on COVID than us. None of them went to the IMF to borrow $2 billion in the name of COVID. None of them went and got money, about $100 million from the World Bank. None of them dipped their hands into their heritage funds for the purposes of COVID. None of them. Now, you went in for all these monies, and you could not, and you still cannot explain to the people of this country how you expended those monies. And the only resolution to it is that you are asking the people of this country to pay more taxes in the name of e-levy. President Mahama built the bridges, the roads, the hospitals without having to impose e-levy on the people of this country. They should tell us what they have done. Under President Mahama, we had only one oil well, and we were producing 70,000 barrels a day. President Mahama provided the people of this country with 2 additional oil wells, and we are producing over 200,000 barrels a day. What did you do with the money?
It's not over 200,000 barrels.
How many barrels?
I can tell you for a fact that it's not.
So what is it? Tell us. So tell us.
It's about 130.
So at least it's more than the 70,000 barrels. I'm saying that at least it's more than the 70 barrels.
All I'm just trying to...
But I'm saying that, you see, that your point is moot. Okay. It is still more than the 70,000 barrels. Yet President Mahama didn't do this. Let me tell you, when we had energy crisis, apart from the fact that COVID unfortunately affected lives, the impact of the energy crisis, the fact that gold prices has dipped, the fact that cocoa prices had dipped, the fact that at that time oil prices indeed had dipped, that had tremendous effect on the economy than COVID. Even under that circumstance, President Mahama didn't impose e-levy on the people of this country. Now, all the monies you have borrowed, the monies that the people of this country borrowed from Nkrumah up to the time we handed over the governance of this country to you was 120 billion. How much is the level of borrow today? Of almost 300 and something billion. You alone have borrowed over 200 billion. What have you done with the money? Show me one single hospital, one, built by this government, one. Show me. I guess the people of Tolang are enjoying a hospital that was provided by President Mahama. Now, show me one. And even in Tolang, I want you to tell me. Please.
No, wait, but I think you've...
He had a lot of time. Let me address...
All I'm just trying to say is, I think you've given us the summary of the economic view based on the COVID and all that. But I'm concerned about when the finalization of agreement on these issues you've raised, because now you are saying that the negotiations are not going well.
Just read the statement issued by Honorable Mutaka just yesterday.
Yes. So the point I'm just trying to make is, will there be an effort to reach...
The reason why this negotiation is collapsed, the budget was constitutionally, legally, procedurally rejected.
So now, you want what to happen? That Speaker Bagbin... No, I'm asking. No, so you want what? Speaker Bagbin to come back and do the process again?
In my mouth, let me make my point.
Okay.
The budget was legally, constitutionally, and appropriately, procedurally rejected. They came in there, and he said that the Speaker, Honorable Osei Usu, didn't vote. Look, for you, there are two quorums that are formed in Parliament. You have a quorum to commence business, which you need 1/3. And you have a quorum to take decision. Now, per the standing orders, if you read Order 1093, I have realized that they are reading Order 109, in fact, 1092. I realized that they are reading Order 1093 alone. Order 1092 says that when the Deputy Speaker, one of them, is acting as the Speaker, he takes the full responsibility of the Speaker.
I read that.
You are not only denied... You see, there is one thing that is not being made here. You are not only denied your right to vote. In fact, you are also denied your right to participate in a debate. So if the argument is that I represent the people of Bekwai, and by so doing, I can be counted. The reason why he counted himself, because he knew procedurally they didn't have the quorum to vote, to take decisions. He knew. So he needed to count himself so that he can say that we had 138. And by so doing, any decision we take, it will be valid. And on Friday, we had 274 members signing. The signing of representation or attendance is not done at the lobby. It is done in the chamber. So for you to sign, you have to take your seat, and they bring it. Sometimes when you watch on TV, you see that they will see some of the officers, they bring it and then you sign. That motion for the budget was already moved, seconded, debated upon, and the decision was about to take. But for the prayer, which the Speaker, Honorable Bagbin, allowed to take place, we would have been voting on this matter. What they did on Tuesday was nothing but a charade of a decision. The first thing is that the rejection of the budget on the 25th of November is what must stand. Failure to do so, any other illegality that they perpetrated is void. Okay. And that is why I'm saying that we cannot get into any negotiation without first and foremost looking at the illegality of what they engage in.
Okay, so I think that's a nice point to end on. Honorable Habib, I'll give you the last. I'll give you the last point. I need to allow Prof.
He started, I came. You
okay, Honorable Habib, make your point. I'll give Prof the last point.
So for Prof, who is
wrapping up.
Prof, who is an academic, will be able to come in and be able to cement what the politician actually is saying. You see, when you look at the performance of every economy, you will be able to realize and appreciate that the MPP is doing a lot. Amidst the fact that my good brother is
actually downplaying the impact of COVID. In fact, to be honest with you, this economy has been very resilient. It is not the economy that was on its knees that we had done. So it is not the economy that was on its knees up to the bone that public sector employment was frozen. So you cannot actually talk about employment when public sector employment was frozen. As a result of your engagement, that the economy we inherited that you took us to IMF in 2014, really? The economy that a common condom was taxed, cutlass was taxed, sanitary pad was taxed by this NDC and John Mahama government. So what I'm trying to say is that you see, Honorable Murtala need to appreciate and understand the fact that when you are into parliamentary business, this is your second time going into parliament, and you actually have to appreciate and understand some of the standing orders when we need to be able to interpret.
But I think
so the most important thing is that
the speaker adding himself should not have happened because
no, you see,
the
point is that
you divest yourself.
So now he can sit here.
I read that
and I have said that. You see, when you go, I don't need to hold the standing orders to be able to interpret it or the constitution like he's holding it. I'm a leader and I'm obliged to have it and know the standing order. Even on Tuesday, if they care to know, Article 1043. Article 1043. If you actually know that the speaker had no right to be able to come and vote or something, or to participate in the voting, why didn't you come to the chamber on the Tuesday? Because if you read Article 104(3), it will tell of the Constitution it will tell you that it will tell you that where the votes on any motions are equal, it shall be taken as loss. So if you said Joe Owusu was not going to be counted, was not supposed to vote.
That's what he's saying. That is because you knew you were going to.
So why didn't they come in? Joe Owusu never voted. I am putting it on record. He never voted. He was counted.
He counted.
To be counted. You see, Honorable Murtala, why you fail to realize is that there's one thing.
There is a member of parliament.
There is one thing attending.
He was counted as a member of parliament. Once you are a speaker, you are
counted as a member of parliament, but he was not. He never participated in the voting.
Okay, but he didn't vote.
No, it's two quorums.
It wasn't for.
It is two quorums.
Quorums in parliament.
Yes, it's two quorums.
And a quorum to take a decision.
So,
and he knew that 137 you can form a quorum to take business because you need 92, 93. But you
but
I need you to wrap up.
So he counted.
So what I am trying to say is that what I am trying to say is that, and the point I have actually been able to make, the decision that took place on that very fateful Tuesday for the approval of budget was in conformity of the Constitution and Article 104 that we have agreed to. Article 104 says that, except as otherwise provided in this Constitution, matters in Parliament shall be determined by the votes of majority of members present and voting. And the member of Parliament was counted, but he was never voted. You see, so no, it is quorum. 102 is talking about quorum. You see, the language, Honorable Murtala. So in order to wrap up, this is a government that has come in according to the fact that yes, we have actually been able to borrow, as he said, 120 billion assets in debt. Yes, we have borrowed. No, we have borrowed. Yes, we have borrowed to pay your DUMSO debt. We have borrowed to be able to pay teachers' allowances. We have borrowed to bring nurses training allowance. We have borrowed to be able to open public sector for us to get employment. And for the history of this country, there is no single government that have brought even one policy that has employed like NABCO have done. 100,000 jobs. No government policy has ever employed.
Okay, so that's where I have to end it with the two of you.
Jobs. Your economy was in its knees. You have to go to IMF. You have to go to IMF for a program.
Final point, because we need to end. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Yes, Professor Jampo, you have the final word.
Thank you very much. You know, I tend to be a very good gentleman when I'm sandwiched between these two belligerent party people.
Please, final point.
I think we need to move on.
We need to find a solution.
We need to move on. But if it is true that negotiations by the 20-member committee has already collapsed. If it is true, I'm saying if it is true.
Have you read the statement? Forget about this statement. Which statement? Let me justify the statement. If you know, CTFM. An official statement is used by CTFM has made an interview with the minority leader, and the minority leader had said that they were agreeing with 1%. That's not true.
Well, he was at a program.
So
he was at a program
on City Channel. So 1%. And Honorable Muntaka is saying that they haven't agreed.
Okay, so you are saying
it is NDC, not the committee.
It was a program.
Watch it online.
Okay, yes.
So
watch it on City.
I watch it on City.
That's okay. So yes, Professor Jampo.
Honorable Habib says talks haven't broken down. He's saying something to the contrary. But my hope and prayer is that by the end.
I'm a member of the committee. He is not.
Do you represent us?
My hope.
You're a member of the committee and you're peddling this.
Okay, gentlemen, we need to end. Thank you. Please allow Professor Jampo.
The negotiation has.
Okay, Professor Jampo.
My hope and prayer is that we'll be able to bring a finality to this impasse in the week that we are entering, so that at the end of it, it's good for their own image. I mean, Parliament has already issued a statement apologizing for what has happened, and I want to hope and believe that cool heads would reign, and hawks within the party will take backbench in this particular matter, and then let the level-headed people, more tolerant people lead the process, so that there will be finality. At the end of the day, government must run. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I want to say thanks to all of you who've been watching us. We've had to extend the segment a bit, but many thanks to our guests. And after this, we'll move on to talking about the threat of the Omicron variant of COVID-19 in Ghana. Do stick and stay.
Green environment, state-of-the-art teaching and learning materials, dedicated teachers, small class sizes, and world-class facilities define the excellence at Startright Montessori and Christian College.
It's a very nice school and I really love it.
The Montessori primary, junior high school, and senior high school levels offers a world-class educational experience.
Looking to choose a school for your ward? Choose right. Choose soft skills. Choose Startright.
We also run international programs such as the Cambridge O and A levels. We have boarding facilities as well with spacious dormitories. Locate Startright Montessori and Christian College on the Startright Lane off Fanny Road, New Botiano. Call us on 0244 098881 or 0244 522 350, or visit our website at www.scc.edu.gh.
I invite you to bring your ward to Startright Montessori School and Startright Christian College.
Startright Montessori and Christian College, the best world-class education experience in Ghana.
Every day he has a drink filled with malt. Every day he has a drink filled with malt and milk. Every day he has a drink filled with malt, milk, and cocoa. Every day he needs the nutritious goodness of Milo. Milo, the energy to go further. This advert is FDA approved.
From 1st November to 31st December, TCL is giving away up to 30% discounts on all the appliances.
Switch from this TV to TCL QLED TV.
May switch from this washing to this TCL washing machine.
Let's switch it from this heat
to this TCL AC Papa.
Go your way. May switch it from this old fridge to this brand new TCL fridge. May switch it from this bomb phone to this TCL phone.
This switches says here to enjoy lots of giveaways and exciting deals in the TCL Feast of Christmas promo. Up to 30% discounts on all TCL appliances from the 1st of November to the 31st of December. Bronya Beye de TCL, the creative life.
This week on Mentor X, it's week 9 already. We're inching closer to discovering who will emerge winner of the incredible 10th season of TV3 Mentor. This Sunday, The remaining 9 contestants will be bringing you music of Ghanaian origin to entertain you and book their place in the next round. And of course, 2 contestants who fail to meet the grade will face the gruesome hands of elimination. Join us again this Sunday at 8 p.m. on TV3 as the journey to discovering the next global icon continues on Mentor X. TV3 Mentor takes you higher.
Mentor X is brought to you by Heaven Black Insecticide Spray and Mosquito Coil, and Napa Foods, Sense Body Spray, Club, Better Malt, Tom Vita, Close Up, Geisha, Drugnet,
Cowbell, our milk.
It's always an exciting moment when these ladies meet. They put away their differences to bring you closer to everything you need to know.
You don't need a visa to Singapore. You don't have to break the budget to look good. I don't like the saying, dress how you want to be addressed, but it does carry some weight.
So you have a long dress and you want to shorten the length of it, you just do it by yourself.
For interior, you have to first consider who you are.
To share my story, make the fiber conversation a normal one.
In their craziest moments, they forget they're on live television. Realness, humor, intelligence, positive vibes are your weekend package. Join Anita Ekufu, Sika Osei, Miss Flavor, and Helen Apia Ampofo on the Ladies Circle every Saturday, 6 p.m. on TV3.
Brought to you by
Yaz Sanitary Pad, Vodafone, GTP, still timeless.
Woodine.
Erade Jumanaso, Nanso Apafonaso, Wine a menso mano, Wine a Becoma Mio. Oh, happy day.
Welcome to The Summons.
We bring you a show that gives you a good blend of gospel music, the word of God, and everything inspiration to a Christian heart.
And it's a call to discipleship. It's a place where you connect with and also receive from God.
The Summons. The Summons.
The Summons.
The Summons.
The Summons.
The Summons.
Brought to you by myself, Benjamin Ofeado, and
Na Ashoko.
Keep watching The Summons. You'll be blessed.
The Summons shows Sundays at 11:30 a.m. and repeat on Wednesdays at 12 a.m. on TV3.
You're welcome back to the second segment of the Key Points. Now, all of us have borne witness to the global scourge left by COVID-19, but now there's renewed concern about a variant named Omicron. Now, this variant, we are learning, is pushing numbers up in parts of the world. Ghana remains one of the countries making stringent efforts to fight COVID-19. This month, we will see an upscale of vaccination and revised restrictions coming into force to curb the risk of infections and ultimately deaths. Now, Ghana has adopted mandatory vaccinations for some category of workers, like other countries are seeking to do, like the US and Greece, which recently announced same, where there are mandatory vaccination. However, there might be some opposed to the mandatory regime. We found out how government is dealing with that. And also, as the holidays are upon us, many of us recall the negative impact of celebrations, event activities, and the like last year. How do we avoid a repeat of high infections and deaths in the first quarter of 2022? Our guest this morning, Dr. Nsia Sareh, who is the Presidential Advisor on Health, a former Director General of the Ghana Health Service. We also have Collins Mesita Moranga, who is a bioinformatics specialist with the West Africa Center for Cell Biology and Infectious Pathogens, known as WACBIP. And we also hear from the unions this morning. We'll hear from the National Association of Graduate Teachers President, Angel Kabonu, as well as Alhaji Muro of GPRTU. But first, let's hear a brief clip from the Health Minister telling us about moving into mandatory vaccination regime.
And the authority that has been bestowed on us by the Public Health Act and its emergencies clauses, we are declaring the following persons to be vaccinated before early January. The specific dates will be announced later. All health workers, all security personnel, all staff and students in secondary and tertiary institutions aged 15 and above, all workers in all government institutions, including parastatals, and all commercial drivers. When I say commercial drivers, not only the long buses, long-haul drivers, including Trotro and Uber, and all types of people who drive people around to collect monies from them, including Okada. We will have a way of inspecting certificates before we allow you to do your trade. We are giving ourselves December. That is why we are scaling up our advocacy for vaccinations. We have distributed vaccines across the country. Every district health management team has got a refrigerator, storage for vaccines. We have teams across everywhere in this country, such that you can't come and tell us that we don't have vaccines, so your mandate will not work. We have the vaccines and want to make sure that our mandates will work.
And that's the Health Minister, the Honorable Agyemang Menu. So let's come back in studio, and I'll start with the Presidential Advisor on Health, Dr. Nsia Sareh. Thanks very much, sir, for coming into our studios. So last year around this time, Ghana had done quite well with managing COVID-19, and we do have some graphics that I would like to go up, which outline the state of COVID death. So these graphics will show us what the global situation is, what Ghana's situation is, and the state of deaths, the top 15 countries, and then, of course, where Africa fits in. That will pop up shortly. But last year around this time, we had improved management of COVID. The global cases now are 262 million. That's confirmed cases. We've had 5.2 million deaths, a bit more than that. And we've had more than some 7 billion vaccines administered. Then when you look at Ghana, we have about 130,000 cases, a little over that. Deaths, 1,209. Vaccines administered, we've administered about 3.4, almost 3.5. That's what I picked this from the WHO, unless that's what has been allocated as for now. And in terms of COVID deaths, we are seeing the top 14 countries and their numbers. The top 7 have very high numbers. The top 8 to 14, I didn't bother to add the numbers, but I'm interested in the next numbered country, which is South Africa. They are number 15, and that will be popping up shortly. They have 89,000 deaths, and then after them you have a lot of countries. The next African country is Tunisia with 25,000. Then you move to 36, that's Egypt, 20,000, and then you move to number 46, that's Morocco with 14,000 deaths, and then Ghana is at 119, which has deaths of 1,209. So generally it looks like Ghana is keeping things low, and there's an effort to keep things down. And generally, the African countries as well are not featuring as much as the other countries in the world. So to start with, last year we did well up until November, but then we eased restrictions in December 2020. And then in the first quarter of 2021, we saw a significant spike in case infections confirmed and then deaths, which threw us into a panic. Now that we are seeing December as the month of vaccination, what efforts are we making so we don't have a repeat of what we experienced last year?
Yeah, thank you very much, Difa, and good morning to our cherished viewers and listeners. Yes, as you rightly said, Ghana has not been spared of the COVID-19 pandemic as it is globally. I just want to just correct some few things. We have now given us at 30th of November 2021, 5,556,000.
Okay, so additional vaccines of 2 million
yes,
from
additional
that.
vaccines of 2 million. We've scaled up the vaccination. Now, average vaccination per day is more than 150,000.
Okay.
Every region, every district is now vaccinating. We want to, by the end of the year, vaccinate as many people as much as possible. Okay. As we speak, we have about 12 million. If we let me get the right figures, we have about 12,234,710 doses of vaccine in country, which has come into the country since the 24th of February 2021, when we started the vaccination on the 1st of March, if you remember. And we have also in the pipeline about 10,221,090 doses of vaccines to come into the country, which we are expecting before the end of December. So we have enough vaccines in the system. What we need to do now is for the population who are supposed to be vaccinated to go out there and vaccinate. And that is what we are doing now. And that's why I'm happy that this morning I'm here to tell everybody that you need to be vaccinated. Apart from wearing your mask like I've done, and my my nephew have also done, everybody should put on a mask, go for your vaccines. You protect yourself, you protect your loved ones, and you protect the population at large. And then Ghana can then move on in our normal socio-economic life. That is all what you want to do. And then I also say that, yes, we have gone through 3 waves since the pandemic started. The first wave was in June, July, August in last year. It was not too virulent, we didn't lose a lot of people. Then we came into the situation that we have now, where the cases went down, we were doing very well, we were wearing our masks, people were following the protocols. And then the Christmas came, and Christmas comes with a lot of festivities. And this virus moves where people move. So the virus doesn't have legs. It's human beings who take them to wherever they are supposed to take to. And that time, the vaccines were just coming. We were using our normal safety protocols, and people were very tired. People were not using it, and it's all sorts of things. I agree with everybody that wearing mask, if you are not a health professional, even if you're a health professional, and you are not a surgeon like me, it's difficult to wear masks for a long period. It's very, very uncomfortable. And the washing hands is also good, but people also sometimes forget it. Using the sanitizer is the same thing, and getting into crowded areas. So the Christmas came, people forgot themselves, and you are aware that when this pandemic started, the first cases who came into the Canada on the 12th of March were all imported. All the initial cases are imported. The virus per se is not in Ghana or in the sub-region. Everything which is coming is imported from other places. Our compatriots and other people came for holidays, and people forgot themselves. They were meeting families, they were having weddings, funerals, and then from January, February, March, especially in February, we have a very high surge, which we lost some people. And that time, around April, we then have also, it started going down, and then the Delta variant came in. And you see, maybe the scientists here will explain to you what is all these variants. The virus is a very troublesome creature. It changes itself, it replicates. It's like human beings having children. But anytime it's having children, they also come and make sure that, like ants, they want to put the big ones want to put the small ones down and kill them. So any time that they mutate, they come out of a lot of very bad or virulent species, which we call the strain. I'm sure he will explain all those things. So we've been apart from when the Wuhan strain came, we have alpha, beta, delta, gamma, and all sorts of things. Now we have Omicron. So anytime a new variant comes, the spike proteins are the ones that mutate, and then they mutate very fast, so that if you are not very careful, you get a variant which is very, very transmissible. And it transmits easily. It infects a lot of people. That's what we have heard, that the Omicron is even transmit even faster than the Delta. Even though they haven't come out to tell us exactly, they are now studying it, if the Omicron is even more virulent than the Delta. That one we don't know. But from what is happening in South Africa, if it continues like that, it may be something which is very good, because it is not putting people to an intensive care unit and also killing a lot of people. And then I understand the South African one is affecting more of the young people than even the elderly. So that is the reason why our young people who go out, our young people who are very mobile, not our grandfathers and our aunts and who are sick, who are at home, they will go during this Christmas to bring this thing home and then come and infect people. And that's the reason why last Wednesday, the Honorable Minister of Health came out that we now have enough vaccines in the system. We'll continue having a lot of vaccines. So if you add the 12 million plus the 10 million, we're having about 21 million doses. And next year, we'll get a lot more doses, so that every Ghanaian, as the President said, the vision is that every Ghanaian who is supposed to be vaccinated should be vaccinated. But the target is that we wanted to get at least about 20 million people vaccinated. Luckily enough, Ghana population, if you look at our population is a youthful population. But now that Pfizer has now said that we can now drop the age, Ghana has also, through our Food and Drugs Authority, now given emergency use authorization for people who are 15 years and above. So 15 years to the elderly forms about the 20 million people or 21 million people that you want to get.
Okay, just for clarity, the current doses available, you said the additional 10 million, so that will come to 20. Is that going to amount to the 20 million Ghanaians, or because we know that it's 2 doses, some are single dose, like the Johnson & Johnson?
See, the target is that we are trying to make sure that we get at least the 20 million Ghanaians who have at least 1 dose.
Okay.
And then in the course, because if you have, for example, if you have Pfizer, it takes about 4 weeks, and then you take the second dose. If you have Johnson & Johnson, it's only 1 dose. Ghana has committed itself to about 17 million Johnson & Johnson, which is coming in bits and pieces. Every month we get, sometimes now it's almost every week or every 2 weeks we get some Johnson & Johnson from the African Union, African Vaccine Acquisition Tax Team. We've also been getting from COVAX system. Now we get Pfizer because we have the ultra cold chain system across the country in all the 16 regions. We are now also getting Moderna. We are getting now, luckily, the Indians have now relieved the export restriction that they put on when they have the Delta, and they were trying to immunize their people very fast. So now we are going to get more AstraZeneca also from the Serum Institute of India and from other sources. The Europeans are also trying to now give through bilateral means a lot of AstraZeneca that they pile up, which they want us to use. And Ghana, we are lucky that we have a system in place because of our expanded program on immunization, which is very robust, that we immunize from bottom up. So we do it from even the chief centers right down up. So people at the headquarters just supervise the regions, and the regions supervise the districts, and districts supervise the sub-districts. So we don't have a problem if you get the 10 million vaccines today. As I said, now we have ramped up and we are at 150,000 per day. I'm sure that was around 30th of November. I'm very sure even because of what we want to do, because of the mandate which will be coming in January, I'm sure they are now, I haven't gotten the figures from the 1st of December. I'm sure they've now moved to about 200, 250,000. We want to do it in such a way that by the end of this year, a lot more people will have been vaccinated. Because we have another 5-point-something million. If you look at what we have vaccinated now, we have about 6 million still in stock. which we are releasing. Every day there's vaccines going out, and then more of them are coming in. So we are ready, and we want people to challenge the system. And the system is ready to vaccinate everybody. So if anybody is listening to me today, please go out there for your vaccines.
Okay. I'll come back to you on what the approach is. But Collins, in terms of these variants that the Presidential Advisor on Health had talked about, now many are worried about the latest one, the Omicron. How much of a threat is that to us in Ghana, for instance? Because initially when the health service met us, we were told that there was a sequencing checks going on, and then later on Noguchi indicated that some 30-something had been identified in travelers. So how serious a threat is this to us in Ghana, seeing the performance we've achieved up until now?
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me to the show. So the Omicron variant, Ghana, we've detected, at Noguchi, they've detected about 34 new cases in 120 travelers. So you can see the numbers are huge. That's about a third of the people who are sequenced. And it poses a threat, but with the continued government efforts to curb it, like at the airport, isolate the people who are testing positive at the airport, they don't come into population, then the threat will be minimized. So what we are trying to do is to continuously sequence in the local population so that we can be able to track the Omicron variant. The thing is that most of these variants, they've always been introduced into the country through travelers who are coming in. And to
be fair, we don't want to bastardize or to demonize travelers.
Yes, we don't want to do that, because then it will dampen the effect of countries sequencing and reporting new variants. Then countries will be scared to report, let's say they've detected a new variant, they will know they will be banned. So they might go silent on that, and you don't want to do that. Now, so far, Omicron in South Africa has been said it affects mostly children and young people. And the good thing that we know so far is that the symptoms are mild. So compared to Delta variant, which you lose sense of smell, you have high fever, high pulse rates, for Omicron, the only thing that has been reported so far is the feeling of being sickly and tiredness. But other than that, there's no fever, you don't lose sense of smell. At least that's what is being reported by the South African authorities. And this reduces the risk. The thing is that in Ghana, in all the waves that we've seen, the Alpha wave or the Delta wave, is that Ghana's been a little bit behind, because then the travelers have to come in, and then there has to be some local transmission going on. But the good thing is the Ghanaian population has been resilient. So the other bad thing about Omicron is that it has a lot of mutations. So it has about 50 mutations. The bad thing is that 30 of these mutations are on the spike protein. So this is the protein that is like a hook that enables the virus to enter the human cells. Also, this is the protein that is targeted by vaccine manufacturers or the vaccines. Now the antibodies have to bind to this protein to be able to prevent it from
multiplying
and causing more infections. Now when you look at it in infecting more cells, if you have more mutations, like for example, you have about 15 mutations at the point where it attaches to the human cells. The problem is that it's going to probably increase how fast this virus is able to infect human cells, and then this will also lead to increased transmissibility of the virus. And this is the case that we are seeing. And then the other thing is that it's infecting more people who have been infected before, more like reinfections, as well as I think some reports on vaccinated people have come around. And that poses a challenge, because then you might end up having like breakthrough infections. So that's the biggest risk that.
Now, based on that discussion, you mentioned something about the Alpha wave, the Delta wave. Ghana seemed behind because it's as if the infections came in country and then we were playing catch up to try and fight those. Would you look at what we're trying to do now, ramping up vaccination, proposing a mandatory vaccination regime, for instance, as a way of getting ahead of Omicron, now that at least we know that it's coming in?
Yeah, so in terms of mandatory vaccinations or the measures that the government is taking to be able to curb these infections, I would say mandatory vaccination is going to be very effective. But then people have the choice to still take it. So if you talk about Uber drivers, probably they are going to, it's a choice. You either take it or you probably stop driving around. So they still have a choice to take it or not. But then in terms of getting ahead of Omicron with the mandatory vaccinations and the enhanced measures, I think what we need to do is sequence more in the population, get more samples sequenced. So if we get 10,000 tests of COVID done daily, at least we need about 10% or 20% of those sequenced so that we can determine how big the threat of COVID is within the population. So as much as we are increasing mandatory vaccinations, we are doing all those measures, we need to sequence more, at least a fraction of all the testing of all the tests in a day, so that we can be able to get ahead in understanding how much of the threat it is within our population.
Okay. So yes, Dr. Ansia, sorry.
Apart from the mandate, the vaccination that we are ramping up, you know, if you look at all the 3 waves we have in this country, they all came from outside. So we've put in measures to also limit importation. That's very, very crucial.
So one of those measures was to have people come in with a COVID
72-hour PCR
72-hour PCR test.
And the second sieve is also at the airport.
Yes. Are we planning to revise that? I think I saw a publication that the US has decided to make it 24 hours.
Yes. Ghana, what we are doing is that we are the only country, I can say that proudly, we are the only country who does instant immunofluorescent antigen test.
Yes.
It's different from what people say.
It's different from the PCR.
The lateral flow test. It's different from the PCR. What we are doing there from our FDA's test is about 99.5%. When any time that we have any of it being positive, most invariably PCR is also positive. Where PCR is negative, most invariably our antigen test is also negative. So it is very, very sensitive. That is the most important thing. And 2, you remember, just after Christmas, before Christmas, when we even test positive, we were advising them to go home and self-isolate. That was what caused the January, February, March wave.
Because we couldn't determine if they were really doing that.
And then I'll give you a story. One time, somebody who was tested positive, they were going to check on the person after the 48 hours. And when they called, where are you? That is not at home. That is in Accra Mall. So self-isolation is very, very difficult. So we then decided quickly, which we are doing now as one of our protocols, that if you test positive, you'll be mandatory isolated. So it means we pick, apart from the 72-hour negative PCR test, which will not allow you to even to board the flight to come to Ghana. And
you isolate the individual from the population.
Isolate the individual mandatory after testing. So we pick up those who are positive. And yes, there are some people who may be incubating. Then we also now ask them, those who are all in the flight, that somebody has been positive, isolate yourself, wear your mask at home. And in Christmas time, that's where people, when our compatriots come from outside, people will go and they are going for their gifts, it's going to give this and this, and then they will start sharing the virus. So this is what we are going to make it strict, that we will follow anybody who comes during this Christmas. And then the flight, there's somebody who is positive on it. We will continuously be following the other passengers till the 7 days and the 14 days that we have to do. So Ghana is the only one who is doing that.
Okay, but just for clarity, I know that in the early days we're doing a lot of spot
Contact
checks, contact tracing, and the like. That had taken a dip, it seems. And so even the data available, there are concerns about that. How can the scientists really have a full view about what the threat is in terms of COVID if we're not doing as widespread contact tracing and testing? I know there's a cost to it, but at the end of the day, if we want to keep track of what the threat is, maybe we need to return to that. Is there a plan for that?
Yes, we are also strengthening contact tracing during these Christmas festivities. Okay. But the problem is that everybody is tired. There's fatigue.
Yes.
Sometimes I pity our health workers. They are tired. You see, because this virus is still going on. We're all thinking that it will last. If at the airport testing, we all thought it will last for about maybe 6 months. But it's going on. But we will continue because it is also comes of cost to also continue the contact tracing by our districts and sub-districts. But the most important thing, and I want to tell everybody that you should be your own keeper and your brother's keeper. Make sure that you do what is supposed to be done. You follow the safety protocols and you also go for immunization. I know somebody will tell you, even as you were saying, that there are some people who have Omicron even though they are vaccinated. But I can tell you that even where they have a lot of people who are vaccinated and maybe they are reinfected, they don't end up in intensive care or death. So do you want to die? No, nobody wants to die. Do you want to lose a very a loved one? No, nobody wants to lose a loved one. So let us do all together. And let us make sure that when you are supposed to vaccinate, go and vaccinate. You know, when we started the vaccination, we gave priority to some group of people, the frontline health workers, teachers, media people,
and then the elderly,
executive, legislature, and all these things. These are the people that we are putting mandate on because they were given chance to go and vaccinate. And now we are also going to Uber drivers, the commercial drivers and everything, because you come in contact with people day in and day out. And we shall move the vaccination points also to lorry parks, to car parks. Now they are doing it in the markets. As we speak now, they are doing it also in churches. SDA churches,
so high conversion areas.
Conversion areas,
yes.
We'll do it. We want to have better Christmas than we did last year.
Okay.
And we want to finish this Christmas without going into what we went through in January, February, March.
Okay. I'll come back to you on some details about the Christmas because the tourism sector has suffered, the creative arts sector has suffered, but the other concern is what will really change. I'll come back. We'll take a quick break and we'll be right back.
You want 15,000 Ghana cedis. Sapato the bed.
May the better cement.
Yeah, me home sika kesi no menu super.
I start to me go fee. Me nenye to me go get 10,000.
Ah, good so. But sika pato the koede.
Me be try menu.
But we any then or we be
star 500 hash.
Let me say nyam pakra. My winnie for 5,000.
Debia Yabemesika. It is our Airtel Tigo Sua. Making sure, say, what dial star 500 hash no activated to go missiono.
Airtel Tigo. Life is simple.
Sometimes you just know that something ain't going good. You say to yourself, this ain't working for me. There be no shame in that, man.
Like when you don't got it?
Yeah, man, I mean, being smart means knowing when to stop. Know your limits.
So like knowing when to stop? Yeah, makes sense.
If it's not fun, choose to stop.
This advertisement is brought to you by Bet Power. Every day, he has a drink filled with malt. Every day, he has a drink filled with malt and milk. Every day, he has a drink filled with malt, milk, and cocoa. Every day, he needs the nutritious goodness of Milo. Milo, the energy to go further. This advert is FDA approved.
This week on Mentor X, it's week 9 already. we're inching closer to discovering who will emerge winner of the incredible 10th season of TV3 Mentor. This Sunday, the remaining 9 contestants will be bringing you music of Ghanaian origin to entertain you and book their place in the next round. And of course, 2 contestants who fail to meet the grade will face the gruesome hands of elimination. Join us again this Sunday at 8 p.m. on TV3 as the journey to discovering the next global icon continues on Mentor X. TV3 Mentor takes you higher.
Mentor X is brought to you by Heaven Black Insecticide Spray and Mosquito Coil and Napa Foods, Sense Body Spray,
Club,
Better Malt, Tom Vita, Close Up, Geisha, Drugnet,
Cowbell, our milk.
Done. Why DJ got do it? 113 plus 100. 100, the one, the 2.
Fighting. I'm fighting.
Touch my butt.
Who painted the Mona Lisa? Wrong. How many days are there in a normal year?
12.
Wrong.
365.
This show is proudly brought to you by Betway.
Celebrity Fun Time this Saturday, 5 p.m. on TV3.
Music is that one thing that you didn't know you needed, but you have. Are you ready? Let go! Everybody put your hands in the air. The house party! Soothing music. Electrifying performances. Worthwhile interviews.
Sometimes we do songs in 3 months, 4 months.
Yes.
What?
The best of the best.
This year, where the party day today.
Music. It's big.
Music shows every Saturday at 8 p.m. on TV3. Don't miss it.
Welcome back to the key points, and we are discussing COVID-19 and efforts by government to ramp up and upscale vaccinations to prevent further infections, especially as a new variant of COVID-19 is spreading in other parts of the world. And now let's speak to the president of NAGRAT, the Angel Kabunu, about thoughts about mandatory testing for teachers, for instance. As many of us know, for 1 year, schools could not operate, teachers could not teach. A lot of it was done online, and that also brought a lot of concern and also impacted the academic year. Is mandatory testing for teachers a good way to continue what we have started and also to protect them? Would the unions be spearheading these? Good morning to you, Mr. Kabunu, and thank you for joining us. Okay, probably we have lost Mr. Kabunu. Once I'm alerted that we have him, we'll come back to him. But Collins, let me come to you now. There's been improved regime in terms of people trying to at least do the needful. I get a sense that there isn't enough enforcement. As somebody who is working in this scientific space, we see what the huge numbers are globally. Ghana has tried to at least keep the numbers low. There are still questions about why Africa hasn't been significantly ravaged. I don't know if by now the scientists are, I know there is no conclusion on that, but is there a meeting of minds on why at least Africa is managing to keep the numbers and the infections low, in spite of the fact that we've not had as many vaccinations as we would have liked?
Yeah, so it's true. I mean, Africa, we've been a bit sluggish in terms of vaccinations. But also our cases in Africa haven't been similar to the rest of the world. I mean, you look at those countries, it's now that we have Morocco, Tunisia, Egypt starting to rise up in terms of number of deaths. But Ghana, most of the African countries, the cases are low.
Is it also a case of non-declaration or maybe not providing the data for the majority of other African countries?
I think most people, unless those who eventually end up dying, going to hospitals, most people tend to manage the cases by themselves at home, probably
with local remedies and the like.
Local remedies, purchasing medicine over the counter, trying to manage the infections on their own. But I think also Africa, we've tried to do the needful in terms of people trying to adhere to the measures, washing hands, social distancing. I think that was very effective initially when the COVID variant started, and people have been responsive, especially when it comes to different waves. People tend to be more responsive in terms of wearing masks, social distancing.
That's when they know the wave is at this height.
Yeah, so for example, right now we are going to the Christmas. People are going to be traveling a lot into the country and out of the country. Probably the wave will come around probably in January, because then people now start settling, and then there's local transmissions across the country. You start seeing but I think if we ramp up the vaccination exercises, we are going to see less of hospitalization. Transmission might be high. We are seeing some countries already having a fourth wave, like Germany and South Africa. Right now, the cases are skyrocketing due to the Omicron variant. And I think if we continue the measures, the way the government is advocating for people to be vaccinated, I think I'll suggest that we need to do a bit more in terms of vaccination. Let's take the vaccine to the people, door-to-door vaccination. Let's have a dialogue with people in their homes. Tell them about the vaccine, the advantages, and let's rest their fears about the vaccine by taking it to them.
Okay.
Other than waiting for them to come to the centers to be vaccinated.
All right, we'll come to that because Doc will tell us a bit more about that. But let's speak to Angel Kabonu now. He is the president of NAGRAD. Good morning, Mr. Kabonu.
Good morning.
Great. If you can just speak up a little louder. So the government has put forward mandatory testing for certain categories of workers. Teachers would also be part of that. Is that something NAGRAD as a union agrees to, or you feel your members would be opposed to that?
Is it mandatory testing or mandatory vaccination?
Yes, I'm referring to mandatory vaccination.
As a union, we will advise all our members to get vaccinated, because from what the World Health Organization is saying, vaccination is the only known protection for this virus. The problem we have is forcing people or compelling people by the weight of state force to go and get vaccinated against their will. That is where we may have a little bit of a problem. But we will support mass vaccination, and we will encourage all our members to get vaccinated. Like the gentleman you just spoke with said, let the vaccination centers be close to the people. Let the vaccination centers be available. When I see Amma go and vaccinate yesterday, and 3 days after vaccination, she is so strong and healthy, that alone is a motivation factor for Kofi to also go and get vaccinated. So I think that we will need to do this thing through education, public education, information, and the nearness of the vaccination centers to the people, so that you don't have to struggle like people are going through Ghana card. Ghana card, people will have to go and sleep in centers before Ghana card. We cannot do that. You can't use the weight of force to tell people to go and get vaccinated when the people have to go through struggle and pain to get vaccinated. I think that the vaccination centers should be close to the people. The vaccination centers should be available. And we also have to do a lot of education to allay the fears and apprehensions of people.
Now, government announced this just this week. Had the unions been engaged at all in terms of knowing that this was coming and potentially they would be part of the interest groups that will be required to be part of this regime?
Well, I have not seen any invitation for engagement. I also heard it in the public the way you also heard it.
Now, you talk about being against the approach being a weight of force or by government order. But to the extent that the education sector was significantly affected, the academic year had been hit, why look at it as a weight of force or government order? Why not look at it as an approach by government seeking to protect not just the interest of the individuals who teach, who are your members, but the entirety of the education sector and the academic calendar?
That is what I am saying, that
you said they should be encouraged, but if you encourage people and they don't want to take it, then it defeats the purpose.
The people who have to accept the principle you are espousing. The people who have to understand that it is in their own interest that this ought to have been done. When you use the weight of force against the will of the people, that is when people will come up with fake COVID certificates. That is why people will go and pay their way through to get certificates that is not genuine. At the end of the day, the purpose for which you start the whole exercise will not be achieved. That is the tangent I am coming from.
So what would, you mentioned that you want the vaccination centers to be brought closer to people. So in the case of teachers, I know that now the holidays are coming up and a lot of schools would have finished exams. They should be wrapping up this week. What kind of approach would be best if, for instance, we want to target teachers?
Teachers are also people within the community. So when I say closer to the people, and teachers are not the only group of workers in this country. So when I talk about closer to the people, the vaccination should be within the community. The communities that the teachers find themselves, the communities that the students find themselves, the communities that the parents and our brothers and sisters find themselves. The vaccination center should be within the community, closer to the people, easily accessible, so that this exercise will be, I believe strongly, that far more people will go and vaccinate themselves than people won't. So if that principle holds true, then make the vaccination available to the people. I am not talking about sectorial vaccination. No, sectorial vaccination does not work. Just get into the community that we all find ourselves in. If it is Medina, put a vaccination center in Medina Old Road, put a vaccination center in Medina New Road, put a vaccination center in Medina Social Welfare, put a vaccination center in Medina Zungu. Let it be close to the people so that the people can easily access the vaccination service.
Thank you very much, Angel Kabonu, President of the National Association of Graduate Teachers. So, Dr. Nsiah, I think those questions are for you. So, the mandatory vaccination, other countries around the world are trying to push it in, and there's been some opposition on two levels. There are those who just feel they don't need the vaccine, and are putting their trust probably in Almighty God. Then there are those who have genuine vaccine hesitancy, saying that they don't believe the data is fully comprehensive, and so they are unwilling to go under that regime. In places like Greece, fines are being imposed for not wanting to take the vaccine. Listening to Angel Kabonu, it seems there's a little more engagement that may need to be done with the various unions, whether it's TUC, the GMA, registered nurses, the security agencies, the Ghana Road Transport Coordinating Council, and the like, to get them to agree.
Yes, thank you very much. I think every Ghanaian agrees that you need to be protected, and he agreed. In his case, it's even easy. For Nagrat, now the vaccination centers have been moved to all the secondary schools. The teachers go to school every day. So they don't have a problem at all. That's why we are saying that when we bring the vaccination to your doorsteps, you say doorsteps, you are bringing it to the schools where the teachers are teaching. And we are doing that because I think he also will agree with me that we had a lot, some outbreaks all over the country of secondary school. There are about 20 people, and then the children are isolated, and these students are not asked to come to school and all these things. So for the education service, there's a lot of collaboration between the Ghana Health Service and the Ghana Education Service. They have a school health program, and then they are working with the school health program in Ghana Health Service. So we have moved to the schools since 27th of November. We want to give the children, the teachers, and everybody the vaccines that they need before they vacate. 2, we have plans. The plans that we have put in place, which we are executing, is that we have static, like we put vaccination centers at various health centers and clinics and hospitals. We also have places, workplaces, that we have also sent the vaccination points there. We have mobile teams which move from community to community. We also have people who are going to churches. As we speak now, I'm sure SDA churches, there are a lot of people there. Tomorrow, there are a lot of people who also go to the other churches which worship on Sundays. We go to the mosque. We also have people who have gone to the markets. There are people who are stationary at markets. You go to Techima Market yesterday. People will be there and they are vaccinating. And then we have also at lorry parks. So we've moved to everywhere. We are giving everybody the chance. As he rightly said, yes, we cannot force somebody. You don't want the vaccination, we will force you to go and vaccinate. There are countries where the mandates are working. I'll give example, Germany. Germany have what they call the 3 Gs. You have to get infed, genesen, and get tested. I'm a German scholar, so I know what I'm talking about. Get infed means that you have been vaccinated. Genesen means that you have been sick, maybe of COVID over the past few weeks. Get tested means that if you were not sick, you don't want to be vaccinated, then you have to test yourself every morning at your own cost before you can join public transport, before you can go to a restaurant, before you can go to a cinema, before you can even go to your workplace. That's exactly what the mandate is about. During times of pandemic like this, especially when the scare is like this, and then we are losing a lot of our socio-economic life is all coming to a ground, and then we have to save our livelihoods and also our lives. The Public Health Act, which the minister stood on, can come
Section 22,
can come out with sanctions, with a lot of things. For example, washing our hands, wearing masks was all from executive instruments were made standing on the Public Health Act. So that's what we are standing on. So if you think that you are a teacher, or you are a Uber driver, or you are a driver, and that you don't want to be tested, then you don't want to be vaccinated, you rather park your car, because you don't want you to be also, you'll be a threat and a risk to somebody who is coming to join your vehicle.
And that person is probably vaccinated.
Is maybe vaccinated. Because that person, when maybe you pass something to the person, long distance travel to maybe Tamale, you cannot be in the mask throughout. Or a student who, when the students wear their masks, when they go to the dormitory to go and sleep, they don't wear masks there. When they go to the dining hall, they don't wear masks there. So if you are going to do that, and then the person may not be sick and go to hospital or maybe admitted or die, but there's an old lady, he has a grandfather, a grandmother who is at home, who is a diabetic, who is maybe has cancer, who is sick, and you go and pass it on, and then the old lady will go. During the last Christmas, January, February, March, we saw a lot of people who have died, not because they went out to a party. It's because a grandchild went out and picked the virus. He was asymptomatic. He came to infect the mother, the father, the elderly sister. All the three of them died within a week. That's what we want in the country? No. So we are not saying that we will tie you to go and be vaccinated. But if you don't want to be vaccinated, and you are with me in a hospital, in the same consulting room, don't come there.
Okay. Now, there's a question about this ramping up also of the vaccination quickly that I just need to ask. Are we ramping up vaccinations now because the lifespan on the vaccines is getting shorter, and so we are getting a lot of these vaccines now, and we really need to push the vaccination out, and then mandatory vaccination is really the way to ensure that these vaccines are used?
We are ramping up the vaccination because, God being so good, there's a lot of vaccines in the country now, and we want our people as quickly as possible to be vaccinated to have the immunity. Because if you want to have a herd immunity, you don't do it over about 2 years. You should do it as quickly as possible. I'm sure what is happening in Greece, what is happening in Israel, what is happening in Germany, what is happening in the UK now, if they didn't have herd immunity, about 80% of adults have not been vaccinated, we will see a different thing than what we saw in the earlier days when they were dying. Now you don't see them carrying people with ambulances, and they're treating people and giving the critical care in ambulances. People are getting positive, like in South Africa, but their hospitals are not overwhelmed. That is one thing. We should make sure that we don't stress. There's a picture that Ghana Medical Association showed at their Congress some time ago, and the Ghana Health Service has also shown it the last time they had a press conference, where the health worker is tired, and he's telling everybody that please protect yourself to protect me and my family. And now because they are tired. The health workers are tired. I'm one of them. So if you go and see somebody, it's always sitting in an intensive care unit. When we had the January, February, March, and also the August when a lot of people died, somebody goes to intensive care unit at Ga East Infectious Disease Center, or at when we were using the University of Ghana Medical Center. They sit down there and work about 48 hours continuous, because you cannot leave. There are about 5 or 6 people who are on ventilators. You cannot leave the fellow nurse or the fellow doctor who is about 1 or 2, and then he goes home. He stays there, changes, and then continues, and then you see them sitting in the chair sleeping. That is how we should be thinking about our health workers. Apart from that, other patients, with maybe those who are going for operation because they need operation to be done, are all postponed, because we took all the anesthetists from Korle Bu to go and assist in Ga East, so that we can use the Ga East Infectious Disease Center in January, February, and March, and also in July, August, September. And that is what we don't want to see again. We cannot afford a 4th wave.
Okay. Collins, before we wrap up, your thoughts on, how we are managing and how we can prevent, a 4th wave, because we're going to have lots of events. I've seen a lot of advertising for activities and the like, and we don't want to destroy anyone's business. But then it begs the question, how do we get ahead of this in spite of all these activities planned?
Yeah, so the problem with, for example, Omicron or any new variants that we've seen is that they tend to have new mutations almost every day. So with each infection, you are likely going to have the virus changing in 1 or 2 mutations or hundreds. So what you want to do is minimize the number of unvaccinated people, and then enhance the COVID-19 protocols, safety protocols, and that's the only way we are going to get ahead of the threat of the viruses. So most people, if you have more people who are unvaccinated, the pressure on the virus from natural infections, as well as the pressure from other people who are vaccinated, you end up getting viruses that are going to have like breakthrough infections or immune escape variants, and this is not good. So all the gains might be lost because of laxity of people from following the protocols or being unvaccinated.
So people must follow the protocols. If you've not probably even been following, you must try and do that at least now.
Yes.
Now, because the holidays are coming up and the activities are coming up.
Yes.
So, final word, Dr. Nsiah-Sarri. So, with all these activities and all these events coming up, I mean, it begs the question, should we really be having them now that there's even the risk of a fourth wave? What would you tell events organizers and all those who might have an activity or other at this time? And that would be your final word.
What I'll tell event organizers, before we allowed any activity to happen during the Christmas holidays, we've gone through a very strict protocol with the Ghana Tourism Authority and Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Tourism. We want them to follow it to the letter. We'll be watching out. If for one reason or the other, you cannot follow it, cancel your event. One, we know that a lot of people will be coming from outside for beyond the return, that they are all supposed to have 72-hour PCR test, which is mandatory anyway before you board the plane. They should all be fully vaccinated. And as they rightly said, that they will put all the safety measures, the washing hands, sanitizers, wearing of masks, and also in some cases they even told us they would like to test people from time to time at the event places. We want them to follow it to the letter. People will be there to watch out. And I know that Ghana Tourism Authority will also set people there who will be doing the self-monitoring and make sure that things work. We all have to be together. We are in this fight together. So if you all do this together, then we can have a very good Christmas without any much problem. You don't want to have the Christmas and then have what we saw this year, beginning of this year again. You can't afford a fourth wave. That one, I want to repeat it. We cannot afford a fourth wave. One, for our health system's sake, for our health workers' sake, and for our own economy. We want to build the economy and go back to normal socio-economic life as much as possible. But you can all do this together by, if you are not vaccinated, go and have a jab. Ghana Food and Drugs Authority, Ghana Health Service have all been following all those who have been vaccinated. We haven't had any very serious adverse reaction. For slight headache and pain and the sight, it is normal. And I've already said that if you vaccinate and you even feel some slight pain and some headache, it means that it's working and working very well.
And just take some paracetamol.
So take some paracetamol and you'll be okay.
All right.
So the vaccines are there, the vaccines are out. If you have not been vaccinated, move out and go and get the vaccine. Because if you don't get it, the time by January, the mandate will be in force.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Many thanks to Collins Misita Moranga, who is a bioinformatics specialist with WACPIP, and also to Dr. Nsiah-Sarri, Presidential Advisor on Health. Many thanks to Angel Kabunu as well, President of NAGRAT. And that's where we end Key Points for this week. Join us again next week for another hot edition. I'm Jifa Bampo. Up next is Warm Up Plus.